Returning to my 4th year of university, the first thing I did
was to
leave the top-tier medical team that everyone covets and switch to acupuncture, the most neglected specialty in the entire faculty. But those 5 genius seniors who once saw me as an eyesore are now in a panic, simply because after I left, their precious junior's thesis data has been riddled with errors. The entire team's research has ground to a complete halt. In my past life, I reached the final selection round of that elite team, with the highest score in the written examination. But in the thesis writing portion of the final round, my junior's key findings were identical to mine. Even the research methods and logic matched in an eerily uncanny way. I refused to believe such a coincidence could exist in this world. Just as I was secretly investigating, rumors about the plagiarism of my junior Ji Xiao somehow spread throughout the entire professional circle. 5 seniors on the team all unanimously accused me of being the one spreading malicious rumors. Even the professor lashed out at me in anger, calling me someone who has no regard for fellow students. I steadfastly refused to apologize. Eventually, the truth broke out, and the university had to intervene and investigate. But in the end, they found no evidence of his plagiarism. As for me, because of this mess, not only was I insulted by the 5 seniors, but I also had to bitterly accept disciplinary action. Even after graduation, many places refused to hire me. Having lived a second life, I understand everything very clearly now. Those rumors were actually spread by Ji Xiao himself. He was playing the victim using a self-injury ruse to drive a wedge between me and the seniors and the professor. But at this point, none of that matters anymore. What I'm actually thinking about is, exactly, how did Ji Xiao manage to do it so stealthily? To steal my thesis without anyone knowing? Professor Tang said, as long as you're willing to stand before all the faculty and students to apologize to Ji Xiao, I will let this matter go. And I will also explain things to the university to clear your disciplinary record. But if you still refuse to come to your senses, you will be expelled immediately.
Fine. I'll apologize. Junior G, I'm sorry.
Caused you a lot of hurt this time. I was in the wrong. I sincerely apologize to you. Ji Xiao smiled at me. I never blamed you, senior. So there's no need to talk about forgiveness, professor. I told you, didn't I? Senior definitely didn't mean to hurt me. Please don't blame him anymore. He turned and sat down beside Professor Tang. His voice was soft, sounding almost as if he were acting like a spoiled child. Even if it wasn't intentional, what he did was still wrong. Since he was wrong, he must be punished.
Cheng Chuan, tell me yourself.
How should I punish you? Professor Tang's face darkened, glaring at me with extreme annoyance. I could never understand why everyone believed Ji Xiao's words so easily. Since my rebirth, I've given it careful thought. Perhaps it's because Ji Xiao is handsome and has a master at playing the pitiful victim. On that front, I truly did lose. So, I just have to accept it. I will follow your instructions, Professor. Our research is about to begin. Your punishment is to categorize and archive all the data, organize them thoroughly, so it's easier for us to reference during the study. Professor Tang waved his hand, signaling them to leave. They stood up and walked out together. I walked in the middle. Professor Tang's punishment reminded me of my past life. Back then, I was disciplined and kicked off the team. To save the situation, I proactively volunteered for the archives, helping the team categorize and organize all the documents meticulously. That task consumed a whole month of my time. During that period, I often only ate 1 meal a day, burying myself in the archives until midnight. Later, I didn't just suffer from stomach pain due to hunger, but I also missed many major classes. But in the end, not a single person had a kind word for me. They even blamed me for not organizing the data comprehensively enough, making it inconvenient for them to search. I only went to the archives the next day. I didn't plan on doing what I did in my past life anymore, which was to organize all the research-related data. My primary purpose for coming here was to choose a different major. Medical school is 5 years. I'm already in my 4th year. It would be too late to change majors next semester. But if I were to continue and graduate with this major, it would truly make me feel disgusted. The most popular major in medical school is not at fault. The mistake was that I've now offended the most elite group. In that popular major, if I really stayed on that team, I would only be subjected to endless torment, having a second chance at life.
I'm not here to seek out suffering.
Furthermore, I already know the future direction of that research team by heart. There's really no need to waste any more time on it. Besides, only by leaving can I see through Ji Xiao's schemes. The mysteries I didn't understand in my past life can only be investigated step by step once I'm away. It's just that I was torn about which major to choose. It left me hesitating for a long time, throughout the entire afternoon. I practically turned over every textbook in the archives, in the archive room, but I still couldn't find one that was easy to start and could help me get my degree within just 1 year. Just as I was about to leave and return tomorrow, because I turned around too quickly, my leg bumped into a desk. The person slumped over the desk sleeping was startled awake by my kick. The book they were using as a pillow also fell to the floor. I panicked, hurrying to pick up the book and apologize. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. My gaze landed on the book, and the apology died in my throat.
Acupuncture.
Who gave you permission to touch it? The woman snatched the book from my hand and turned to leave the archives.
Why did you have to go and provoke her?
Shen Nianjia walked in from outside and pulled me to the side. Are you okay? Did she do anything to you? I shook my head. I'm fine. I accidentally bumped into her book. It's natural for her to be angry, Senior Shen. What are you doing here? Shen Yanjia handed me the lunchbox in her hand. I couldn't just let you organize the files all by yourself. I accepted the lunchbox without hesitation, compared to their cold indifference in my past life. This time because I apologized to Ji Boxiao. Their attitude was completely different, but I knew very well that all of this was based on my submissive apology, not because they actually believed in me. In my past life, I didn't apologize. No matter how much I tried to explain or prove myself, not a single person believed me. Later, when I ran here to clean the archives, there was one time I saw Shen Nianjia passing by the door with a lunchbox. At that time, I was so hungry, I could barely stand it. I called out softly, Senior Shen, asking her if I could have that meal first, so I wouldn't have to waste time going out to eat. Shen Nianjia spat at me in disdain. She told me that the food was for Junior G. A person with such low moral character like you doesn't deserve to eat at all. She said I didn't deserve to eat, simply because I hadn't bowed down to Ji Boxiao. I opened the lunchbox, pulling my wandering thoughts back. Then, sorry for the trouble, Senior. I found a small corner to sit down and eat. The image of that book from earlier flashed through my mind.
Acupuncture.
It seems like something I can learn. If I remember correctly, this is the most remote specialty in this medical school because there aren't many recruitment units for traditional medicine, and acupuncture specialists are even rarer. So the number of students is pitifully low, but the advantage is that compared to other majors, it's much easier to get started. Moreover, I heard that because there are few students, professors have more time to teach personally. It seems I need to take some time to look into this major. What are you thinking about? Shen Yanjia walked over. Didn't you hear me calling you just now? I looked apologetic. Senior, do you know the person whose book I dropped? Are you talking about Mu Wanqing? Shen Nianjia looked contemptuous. I was slightly stunned. So she really is Mu Wanqing. Rumor has it that the faculty has two beauties, one black and one white. One is Gu Baiyue, representing the light of day. The second is this Mu Wanqing. She is like the mist in the dark night, both thick and gloomy. She's always disliked Senior Gu, and She's far too silent and brooding. You'd better stay away from her, Shen Nianjia warned me. I laughed coldly in my heart. If She's someone who dislikes Gu Baiyue, then I should interact with her even more. I threw the lunchbox into the trash, intending to find a few more books on acupuncture, seeing that I ignored her. Shen Nianjia looked displeased. I just said, something to you? Didn't you hear me? You already upset Senior Gu this morning. Don't do anything else to make her hate you. I almost laughed out of anger. In my past life, it was exactly like that. I would never do anything they didn't like, because I cared too much about their feelings. Now, I only care about how I feel. I didn't pay the slightest attention to Shen Nianjia's words. I just gave her a flat look and went upstairs. My indifferent attitude left Shen Nianjia stunned. In all the time she's known me, I had never looked at her with such eyes before. Shen Nianjia snorted coldly and turned to walk out of the archives. By the time I found the book I needed and came down, looking at the empty room, I wasn't surprised at all. Shen Nianjia is essentially an extremely selfish person. Because of her limited background and ability, she can only rely on flattering Gu Baiyue to stay on the team. At first, I was the junior most doted on by the whole team. Gu Baiyue gave me even more special favor. In those years, Shen Nianjia used me many times to speak well for her to Gu Baiyue, even when an experiment failed and almost ruined the entire research project. It was thanks to me pleading with Gu Baiyue and Professor Tang that she was able to stay. But later, when I was framed by Ji Boxiao, leading to a fallout with everyone on the team, the first person to stab me in the back was her. I let out a soft sneer. Just because I was a little cold to her, she couldn't take it and left. Let's wait and see. When I take every knife she stabbed me with and return them to her bit by bit, I wonder how she'll fare then. I didn't let the image of Shen Nianjia bother my mind anymore. I left the archives to return to the dormitory, completely unaware that behind my back, a pair of cold, angry eyes was always watching me. Shen Nianjia thought that after she left without a word, I would frantically call to apologize and beg her to come back and help. After all, there were quite a lot of documents in there. There is no way I could finish organizing them alone anytime soon. But she didn't expect that not only did I not go looking for her, but I also nonchalantly left the archives. This was completely unlike the Chung Chuan she once knew. Could it be that the obedient boy from before was all just a disguised mask? Shen Nianjia had an expression as if she had discovered a huge secret. She turned and walked toward the girls' dormitory.
Chung Chuan, just you wait.
I will definitely expose your fake face. To vent some anger for Junior Ji Boxiao, the suggestion to apologize to Ji Boxiao was made by Gu Baiyue. This proves that the person Gu Baiyue cares about most right now is Ji Boxiao. As long as she gets into Ji Boxiao's good graces, Gu Baiyue will surely be pleased. Originally, she planned to persuade me to apologize to Gu Baiyue so that our relationship could return to the way it was. At that time, the number of people helping her speak well to Gu Baiyue would increase to 2, who told me to be so ungrateful as to dare ignore her words. Then don't blame her for being heartless. I carried my backpack to the hospital's acupuncture department. I had searched the university's official website, so I knew that Professor Tien, who teaches acupuncture, would be leading a team to the hospital for consultations today. Before I could even step into the department, I happened to run into Professor Tien in the hallway. I had just called out Professor Tien when she said, Why are you only arriving now? Hurry inside and get changed. Then follow me to the treatment room. I heard that the later stages of acupuncture are taught through practice. For the local interns, the professor would directly lead the team for consultations, teaching the interns while treating patients. I didn't offer any further explanation, simply following her into the changing room, compared to Professor Tang's practical sessions, which were always surrounded by dozens of students. Professor Tian's place seemed much more deserted. Including me, there were only 3 interns in total. Prepare the equipment. Professor Tian put on her mask and gave the 3 of us an instruction. I didn't really know what to do, so I followed He Qiang to help with chores. Is this your first time here? Which teacher referred you here? He Qiang was about to hand me the acupuncture set to disinfect. I didn't hear Professor Tian say there would be someone new today.
What's your name?
I peeked toward Professor Tian. Seeing she wasn't paying attention to us, I finally let out a small sigh of relief. Im Cheng Chuan. He Qiang looked intently at my face. That name sounds so familiar. I feel like we've met somewhere before. I felt a bit nervous. Acupuncture is my second major. This is my first time here. I came because I admire your reputation. I don't think we've met before. Senior, never met. Then why do I keep feeling? He Qiang's words were cut short by Professor Tian.
What do you keep feeling?
Why do you have so much to say? Professor Tian took the sterilized needles and walked toward the treatment room. Hurry up and follow me in. Today's patient has quite severe symptoms. The acupuncture will take some time. All of you pay close attention and learn well. He Qiang stuck out his tongue playfully behind the professor's back, then pulled my arm and whispered, "Don't be afraid." Professor Tian looks tough, but among the professors at school, she actually has the gentlest personality. It's lucky you chose this major, since few people study it. Even fewer get to stay in the city for internships. Professor Tian basically gives hands-on instruction. After the internship ends, you'll basically be able to treat patients yourself. By the time you graduate and start working officially, you'll enjoy the status of a real doctor, compared to doctors in other majors, who still have to follow behind professors, working as assistants for a year or two. We, in terms of both salary and workload, have it much easier than them. At that moment, a soft snort of disdain interrupted He Qiang's words. It was from the other intern. All I knew was that she was a girl. She had been wearing a mask the whole time. If you truly want to pursue this field, there is no need for you to flatter him like that. The female intern glanced at me. Today, the university didn't announce any new interns. Hey, fellow student, if you're in the wrong place, it's not too late to leave now. Professor Tian won't blame you. Mu Wanqing. Are you crazy? He Qiang gave Mu Wanqing's hand a sharp tug. I paused for a moment. So she is Mu Wanqing. Then I definitely can't leave. I was just about to speak when I heard Professor Tian say, "Wanqing is right. If you're in the wrong place, leave right now. I won't blame you. But if you choose to stay, then when the session ends, if you fail the test, I will punish you." I had made up my mind to change majors, and acupuncture was the only choice after much deliberation. That I was confident I could graduate from smoothly. I absolutely cannot miss this opportunity. I gritted my teeth with determination. Professor, am not in the wrong place. Everything I said was from the heart. I truly came because I admire your reputation. To study acupuncture. Professor Tian glanced at my face. Then come in. The mask hid her expression. I wasn't sure if she believed my words or not. I walked nervously into the treatment room. Although I intended to change majors, the medical foundation is essentially similar. My knowledge of pharmacology and anatomy over the years has been very good, so I shouldn't be completely clueless. But when Professor Tian actually began her explanation, I realized I'd been too naive.
What is the Ashi point?
Where is the Yinling Quan point located?
Why must incense be lit before acupuncture? When inserting needles, you must carefully and slowly guide them into the points bit by bit. No rushing allowed, and countless other precautions. There was so much to remember, and even more details to pay attention to. It only lasted for an hour, but it felt like I had just gone through a long day of theoretical study, and the kind where no notes were allowed. With a test immediately following the session, by the time Professor Tian's lecture concluded, a thin layer of sweat had formed on my forehead. I was only afraid of not passing the test, of not catching Professor Tian's eye. If that happened, the plan to change majors would vanish like smoke. How was it? Just as we stepped out of the treatment room, Professor Tian turned back to look at me, asking how much I remembered. He Qiang, afraid I was under pressure, hurriedly spoke up. "It's okay. Just say whatever you remember. Professor Tian won't scold you. After all, remembering so many things in such a short time is truly no easy feat." A wave of emotion suddenly welled up in my heart. I understood deep down that if I hadn't been here, Professor Tian wouldn't have explained things so meticulously during the practice. One must know that He Qiang and Mu Wanqing are regular students of this major. Those basic and key theoretical points were things they had long since mastered. The memories from my past life were indeed correct. Professor Tian truly is an incredibly dedicated teacher, compared to Professor Tang's constant scolding. Professor Tian is much more patient in teaching practice. A warm current flowed through my heart, making me even more reluctant to disappoint them. Just now, you performed a total of 2 sets of acupuncture. The points for the first set included Ashi, Hegu, Shenting, Fenglong, Shenmen, Kuchi, Knighting, and Taichong. The points for the second set were Taixi, Shenmen, Fuliu, Kuchi, Guanyuan, Hegu, Qihai, and Shuidao. In the soothing incense lit before the treatment, the ingredients included Huoxiang, Giji, IA, lavender, muksheng. Those were the few types I could identify by smell. After speaking, I looked toward Tien Jenny with some anxiety. Professor Tien, was I correct? You're saying those medicinal ingredients in the incense. You identified them yourself just by smelling. Is that really true? Professor Tien looked quite surprised. I nodded firmly. In my second year, I took an elective in TCM pharmacology. Back then, because I wanted to enter the university's pharmacology competition, and also to win the cash prize. I studied extremely hard. No wonder I thought your name sounded familiar. So it really was you. Chiang looked as if everything finally made sense. You're the one who won that competition.
You took the championship.
And pocketed the full 50,000 yuan prize money. Right. I looked at him with an apologetic face.
I'm sorry, senior.
I really needed that money back then. What's there to be sorry about? That was a result you achieved through your own strength. It's not like I could have just taken it from you. He Chiang patted my shoulder, implying that he didn't care about the past at all. Tien Jenny gave a small sigh. You lost and you're still bragging to me. If it were me, I wouldn't even dare mention it.
Exactly.
Mu Wanqing took off her mask, giving He Chiang a cold sideways glance.
So embarrassing.
He Chiang was about to snap back when he was called back by Tian Jenny. All right, you two go eat first. Let me talk to Cheng Chuan alone for a bit. My spine suddenly stiffened. It turned out Professor Tian had already heard what I said and knew very well that I wasn't an intern assigned here by the university. Don't be afraid. If you really want to learn, just be honest with the professor.
She will definitely agree.
He Chiang winked to encourage me before being dragged away by Mu Wanqing. Now, only the two of us were left in the room. I'm starting to feel restless again. Professor Tian, sorry. I lied just now. Truth is, I'm not an intern sent here by the school. Before this, I hadn't even heard any of your lectures. Nor have I ever studied pharmacology. Tien Jenny motioned for me to sit down. Don't be so tense. Very few students choose my specialty. As long as you have the heart to learn and a good starting point, I'm willing to teach you. But that pharmacology competition was 2 years ago. You said you were a sophomore then, which means you're already in the second semester of your senior year. This semester is almost over, meaning you should have already started your internship. It won't be easy to switch to another major at this stage.
What on earth are you thinking?
I didn't hesitate to tell her the truth. I failed the recruitment exam for Professor Tang's research team. That means I have to find a different internship placement. But this goes against my original intention when I chose that field, so I might as well switch to a major where I can give my absolute all. Tien Jenny nodded slightly. Professor Tang is indeed a legend in his field in this country. If you can't join his team, yet still want to achieve success in that field,
It truly won't be easy.
however, my specialty isn't something common you can just pick up anywhere. It's not something you can just master on a whim. What makes you think? You can reach an outstanding level in my specialty, as she reached the last sentence. A sharp sternness flickered across Tian Jenny's face. I knew if I didn't answer well, not only would I fail to learn acupuncture, but I'd also offend Professor Tien. I took a deep breath and spoke with the utmost sincerity. I wouldn't dare claim that I'll definitely reach the pinnacle of this new major. But looking back at my electives over the years, if I'm forced to switch majors, then acupuncture is my best choice. Moreover, I've done my research. The prospects for oriental medicine in our country are immense in the coming years. As long as I dedicate myself to deep research, my future achievements might not necessarily fall short of those led by Professor Tang. Tian Jenny's stern expression suddenly broke into a chuckle at my words. You little rascal, you certainly have a way with words. Are you complimenting me saying I'm better than Professor Tang? But you must realize, the major I teach is the most neglected one in this school. Every year, the number of students who make it to the PhD level can be counted on one hand. Professor Tang's side is a completely different story. Countless students apply every year, fighting tooth and nail just to hope for a spot in his class. Those who get into his research team can go straight to national research centers. After they graduate, you didn't pass this time, but you can always try again later. Once you switch majors, there's no turning back. You must think this through very carefully. Determination was etched on my face. I believe my choice is not a mistake. Tien Jenny took another look at me. Staying isn't out of the question, but you have to pass the final exam first. Then I'll sign your internship acceptance form. I breathed a sigh of relief, but before my breath could even steady, I heard Tien Jenny continue. The 2 acupuncture methods you just recited were both perfectly correct. It's clear your memory and learning ability are quite good. Therefore, your final exam result cannot be just average. It must be outstanding. I gritted my teeth and replied, understood. So, from now on, may I follow you, Professor? After He Qiang found out I was staying, he seemed even happier than I was. Great. Finally, I have a companion. You have no idea. Facing Mu Wanqing's cold face all day, I was about to fall into a depression. He Qiang pulled me toward the hospital's temporary dormitory. The living quarters are in the intern dormitory of the hospital. I have a room all to myself, and the bedding is all provided. I have some clean bed sheets and pillowcases. I'll bring them over for you later. The professor has consultations at the hospital for the next 2 days, and to gain more experience, we will both be following her. If you don't have classes, you can stay with us for a few more days. By the way, what's your main major? Guess you finished all your courses. Why didn't you go for an internship there? He Chiang's question reminded me of Professor Tang and my senior sisters. However, I didn't feel any heartache over it. On the contrary, I'm glad I've finally taken this step. Being reborn into this life, isn't it to escape the tragedy of the past? And choosing a new major is the first step toward breaking free from it all. He Chiang's enthusiasm and open personality helped a man of few words like me feel less awkward and unnatural. My main major is cytology, with Han Weicheng as my instructor. Professor Tang's team has no shortage of interns. Though He Chiang was very enthusiastic, he also knew when to stop. Seeing my reaction, he didn't press the matter further. Makes sense. Rather than being a nobody on Professor Tang's team, it's better to come here and be a key member. Professor Tian has few students, so she can provide personalized attention to everyone. You've made a very wise decision coming here. Yes, I smiled. An unusual sense of relief suddenly welled up within me. While chatting, we reached the dormitory. After He Chiang helped me finish tidying my things, he immediately dragged me out for a meal. We went to the hospital cafeteria. On the way, I messaged my roommates, telling them I'd be staying at the hospital for the next 2 days and wouldn't be returning to the dorm for a while. Just as I was about to turn off my phone,
A call came in.
the screen displayed the name Gu Bayo. At the sight of that name, my eyes remained calm without a single ripple. With an expressionless face, I hit the mute button and tossed the phone back into my pocket.
Why didn't you answer?
He Chiang turned to look at me. I gave a faint smile. It's nothing important.
Let's go. Let's eat.
Compared to having dinner, Gu Baiyue had absolutely no value. Beneath the girls' dormitory at the medical university, Gu Baiyue stared at the blank phone screen, her face suddenly darkening. Cheng Chuan is getting more and more out of line. Now he even dares to ignore Nunagus calls. What on earth does he want? Shen Yanjia spoke up irritably. Does he think after treating little G that way, we still have to go run after him, coaxing him, and apologizing to him? Sister Shen, please say less. Baiyu is already upset. Cheng Chuan isn't that kind of person. Besides, he already apologized to little G and has already served his punishment. We shouldn't talk about him like that. Shen Nianjia looked dissatisfied.
Why blame me for speaking out?
This afternoon, I was kind enough to stop by the archives to help him, only to suggest he apologized to Nuna Gu. Yet he dared to give me a sour face and just walked away. He didn't even bother to organize the documents. If I weren't afraid the professor would punish him again, I wouldn't have dragged you all here to talk sense into him. Who would have thought Head now refused to even pick up the phone? Shen Nianjia's words left the group in silence. Everyone's expression became unpleasant. They all began to harbor feelings of resentment toward me. Let me try calling his dorm room. The call ended quickly. That person turned to Shen Yanjia with a solemn look. Didn't you say Cheng Chuan left because he was sulking with you? Then how could you not see that he's sick?
What's going on?
Gu Baiyu's dark face softened slightly. Liu Xiaoyun sighed. His roommate said that as soon as he got back this afternoon, he went straight to the hospital. It seems he had to be admitted. He probably won't be back for a long time. Surely He's not faking it. When I saw him this afternoon, he seemed perfectly fine. Shen Nianjia refused to believe it. Fang Ruoruo glared at her. So, I suppose he had to bribe the doctors to arrange a few days hospital stay just to follow a script. Who knows if He's actually in the hospital or not. Otherwise, why wouldn't he answer his phone? Shen Nianjia's anger flared up as well. Gu Baiyue glanced at everyone. That's enough, everyone! Cheng Chuan is naturally very frugal and has very few friends. If it weren't for a hospital stay, he would never stay away from the dormitory. Xiaoyun, go find out which hospital He's in. Let's drop by to visit him in a bit. Out of the blue.
Why did he suddenly fall so ill?
Liu Xiaoyun was about to turn away when Qin Yao pulled her back. Sister, we already have plans to have dinner with little G tonight. He just returned to school, and his mood isn't very stable yet. The professor also told us not to let him suffer any more shocks. If we all go to visit Cheng Chuan now. Before Qin Yao could finish her sentence, Gu Baiyue cut her off.
You're right.
We shouldn't break our promise to little G. Let's put the matter of Cheng Chuan aside for now. He has always known how to take care of himself. He probably doesn't need us to worry too much about him. Hearing this, Fang Ruoro's expression suddenly fell. Then what about the archive room issue? With him hospitalized like this, who knows when Hell finished those documents? I'm afraid the professor won't be happy. Hez already displeased the professor, and if he delays the research project now, he might get kicked out of the group altogether. Gu Baiyue raised a hand to gently massage her brow. For all these years, he has always followed us in our research. We understand each other perfectly. I truly don't want him to leave it this time. As for the work in the archive room, let's all go over and lend a hand together. Everyone looked at one another and agreed in unison. Well, follow your lead, sister?
Well, do as you say.
I had no idea that. The tasks that had caused my severe stomach illness in my past life were now being handled by Gu Baiyu's group themselves. At this moment, He Chiang and I had finished our meal and were heading back to our quarters. While we were eating, Professor Tian had assigned us some work. As soon as we got back to the room, He Chiang glued his eyes to his computer without a word. I wasn't much of a talker myself. However, after turning on my computer, I didn't rush to start the assignment, but began drafting an email, a resignation from Professor Tang's research team. Back then, after being disciplined, I did everything I could to regain the trust of my seniors and Professor Tang. Finally, they softened their stance and agreed to let me join the team. Since joining the research team, my internship records were entirely in Professor Tang's hands. Because of my disciplinary record, to ensure EDA to have a good job after graduation, I had to endure countless humiliations and always comply with Professor Tang's wishes. My sole purpose was to hope he would write a glowing internship evaluation for me. However, the end result was that I had to carry the heaviest and dirtiest tasks in the group. Even the most critical bottlenecks in the research were solved by me. Yet in the evaluation, he only wrote dull and sluggish. Poor professional competence. Only suitable for administrative work and basic research. Incapable of handling in-depth research tasks. Looking at that evaluation, I couldn't swallow my rage and ran to Professor Tang to ask for an explanation. At the time, his response was, "I absolutely will not allow a person of such
Low moral character as you
to set foot in an academic research laboratory. I must be responsible to the entire medical community." How noble and full of justice those words sounded. But I was truly too foolish back then, simply thinking Professor Tang was misunderstanding me. So I worked even harder to change his impression, continuing the grueling work without any recognition, until they threw me into prison with their own hands. But now, I will never give Professor Tang another chance to manipulate me. My internship report must be perfect, and the evaluation must be fair and truthful. I pressed enter, sending the drafted email to Professor Tang. At that moment, it felt as though all the bitterness it harbored was released entirely with my breath. Gu Baiyue was a native of Shenzhen, with a very prestigious family background. To invite Ji Baxiao out for a meal, she booked a private room, eat the most luxurious restaurant near the university. As soon as they walked through the door, Ji Baxiao immediately clung to Gu Baiyue's arm. "Nuna, why didn't Brother Cheng come? Is he still angry with me?" "Nothing like that," Gu Baiyue said, handing him his chopsticks. "He's sick, so we didn't tell him about dinner today." Ji Baxiao clutched Gu Baiyu's sleeve with a look of extreme worry. His face showed immense concern.
What's wrong with him? Is it serious?
"I really want to go visit him. His health has always been very good. I doubt whatever illness he has is anything serious." Shen Nianjia spoke while flatteringly pouring tea for him. "He won't even answer Nunagus calls. So even if we wanted to visit, we wouldn't know where to find him." Ji Baxiao blinked his eyes. His lively eyes turned toward Gu Baiyu. Maybe he was too sick and tired to hear the ring. Maybe you should try calling him again. This morning when he saw me, he still looked healthy and full of energy. There is no way he could just fall ill so suddenly. Ji Baxiao thought I was faking my illness. His aim was to win the sisters' sympathy and avoid punishment. Fang Ruoruo was slightly worried about me. "Nuna, why don't you try calling one more time?" Maybe he was truly busy and didn't hear it. "You're the only one who's always worried about him." Shen Nianjia snorted coldly. "I see clearly that He's doing it on purpose. This morning he used Nunagus metal to apologize to little G, and now he won't even pick up her calls. Can't you see? Hes clearly throwing a tantrum at Nunagu, still bitter that she made him apologize to a junior. In truth, the incident with the metal had already made Gu Baiyue extremely uncomfortable. But later, upon hearing I was sick, her anger had already subsided by half. Otherwise, she never would have taken the initiative to help me organize the documents. However, now that old matters were being brought up again, combined with the fact that I truly wasn't answering, the fire of rage in Gu Baiyu's heart flared up once more. Forget him. Let's just eat. There is no need to pay him any attention. He used to be the only boy on the team, and everyone pampered him too much. That's why he has forgotten his place, and his work has become more and more slacking. Let this incident be a lesson for him. So, hell, stop being so reckless and disrespectful. Seeing Gu Baiyue speak like that, the rest didn't feel right saying anything more. However, Fang Ruoruo still felt uneasy in her heart. She was the one who had known me the longest, and her entry into the research team was partly thanks to me. She truly didn't want to see me being ostracized by everyone. Maybe Cheng Chuan is just caught up in his thoughts this time. It's also because he so desperately wanted to join the team. He made a mistake once, but now has admitted it and apologized, and has served his punishment. I am certain that he will never harm little G again in the future. Ji Baxiao chuckled inwardly. He knew full well that these sisters wouldn't give up on me so easily, especially this Fang Ruoruo. It seemed he had to find a way to make Fang Ruoruo start hating me soon, so that in the future, if anything happens, Sister Fang is right. I believe Brother Cheng probably just had a moment of impulsiveness, which is why he made that slip of the tongue to slander me. After all, you've all been a team for a long time. And you 5 sisters have loved him so much. Now that I've suddenly joined the group, and you sisters have been taking such good care of me, it's only natural for him to feel some discomfort in his heart. I understand all of these things perfectly. That's why I don't blame him at all. Ji Baxiao used extremely sincere words, with a face that looked as if everything were his fault. That scene stirred the maternal instincts of those women powerfully. Little G is still the most sensible one. Shen Nianjia rotated the freshly served dish toward him. You've grown much thinner lately. Eat more, Gu Baiyue added, placing a piece of meat into his bowl. If only Cheng Chuan could be as understanding as you are. In an instant, the atmosphere became incredibly warm and cheerful. No one remembered my existence anymore. But before the meal had gone on for long, Gu Baiyue received a call from Professor Tang about Cheng Chuan wanting to withdraw from the research team. Do you have any information? Professor Tang's deep voice caused the entire dining room to fall silent. Did he say that to you himself? Could it be he just spoke out of anger? Professor Tang replied with an unfriendly tone. If he had been willing to tell me directly, I wouldn't have had to ask you. He sent an email. He'll forward that letter to you in a bit. Go and ask him what's going on. If he has truly made up his mind, then let him be. My research team has no need for a person of such poor character. Who does he think he is? Daring to challenge even me. This team will function just fine without him. Professor Tang was clearly in a towering rage. In his eyes, keeping me on the research team was already a tremendous act of grace. One should know that his research team represents the highest pinnacle in this field nationwide. It's not something you can just walk into whenever you want. My choice to quit now will surely make me regret it until I cry later. As soon as Gu Baiyue hung up, she saw the email forwarded by Professor Tang. It was indeed my resignation from the research team. Her brows furrowed tightly, an indescribable fury suddenly surging within her. Normally, since Id humiliated her in front of a crowd, my disappearance from the team at this moment should have made her feel satisfied. But why? When she saw my resignation with her own eyes, did she not feel even a shred of joy? Instead, her chest felt tight and stifled.
What's wrong, Nuna?
Ji Baxiao gently tugged her sleeve. Gu Baiyue irritably slammed her phone onto the table. Cheng Chuan wants to quit the group. He just sent an email to the professor. The professor is absolutely furious. He told me to ask and clarify if He's actually serious.
Has he gone crazy?
Liu Xiaoyun jumped up. Before, he was the one who did everything to get in here. And now He's the one leaving so abruptly.
What on earth is he plotting now?
Shen Nianjia flashed a cold smile. I told you, he's just throwing a tantrum. Ultimately, he just wants to get rid of our junior, thinking this team can't function without him. This is a top-tier research team in the country. Countless interns dream of setting foot in here. I also don't believe he could give it all up as easily as he claims. Qin Yao didn't believe it either. This time, she stood entirely with Shen Nianjia. However, Fang Ruoru had a completely different thought. From the moment she saw that letter, her face turned as pale as a sheet. Even her breathing became rapid and difficult. Has Cheng Chuan ever joked about such important matters? Hearing her remind them of that, everyone suddenly remembered that I was fundamentally a very serious person who rarely joked. Whatever I did it properly, with great care and composure. In matters like this, I would absolutely never make a joke. Could it be he truly wants to leave? Gu Baiyu's voice was very faint. If she were murmuring to herself? The light in her eyes suddenly dimmed. She didn't even realize that her hands were trembling slightly. It seemed something had just flashed through her mind, something she couldn't quite grasp. At that moment, Jibok Xiao's whimpering, about to cry, rang out. It's all my fault. He must hate me, which is why he wants to leave. I'll go and tell the professor right now that this resignation must absolutely not be approved. The one who should leave is me, compared to a newcomer like me. Brother Cheng has been working with everyone for so long. He certainly understands the work and everyone's intentions much better than I do. The chemistry between him and you sisters is something I can't compete with. Even if I were to pass the test, I still wouldn't be able to match him. Ji Baxiao was inwardly fuming with frustration. Originally, even though he hadn't kicked me out of the team yet, he had succeeded in making the professor and the sisters despise me. Consequently, even if I stayed shamelessly, no one would bother with me. Ji Baxiao had a plan laid out in his mind on how to turn me into a true scapegoat for him, to make me do the most arduous work while receiving almost nothing in return. As long as he cleverly coaxed the sisters and the professor, then sooner or later I would lose everyone's favor. And finally I would have to pack up and leave in humiliation. But what is the situation now? Just with my one move of retreating one step to advance two, I've immediately awakened the latent feelings the professor and sisters had for me. Thinking of a way to make him stay, resentment welled up in Baxiao's heart. Deep down, he knew the truth. The plagiarism scandal was a trap he had set himself. On the surface, I apologize and admit fault to him. Inside, I probably loathed him to the bone already, once he takes the lead in choosing to stay with the team. Whether it's the sisters or the professor, I'm afraid they'll soon forget about the false accusations, and he will regain everyone's favor as well. After all, humans can be so shallow. Someone like me, always clinging and flattering. How could I be more loved than someone they're begging to stay? Ji Baxiao gritted his teeth in fury. He absolutely could not let this happen. If you want to leave the team, then get as far away as possible. What nonsense are you talking about? Gu Baiyue felt a pang in her heart at Ji Baxiao's words. Ji Baxiao looked so delicate and radiant. When he cried, it was especially heart-wrenching. His admirers at school could line up around the stadium multiple times, but he always kept himself pure, focusing solely on his studies, never fooling around with any girls. That's exactly why Hez voted the department's pure heartthrob every single year. A boy who is both handsome and ambitious always makes people feel protective of him. Moreover, Hez so considerate. How could they bear to see him so upset? There is no reason at all for you to be the one to leave. Go and clear this up with Cheng Chuan. If Hez so determined to leave the team, then let him have his way. Gu Baiyue gritted her teeth. Clearly, she was absolutely furious. Let me go. Fang Ruoruo stood up abruptly. We've been on the same team for so many years. I don't want to see him make a huge mistake. I'll go with you. Liu Xiaoyun stood up as well, him passing the major exam so smoothly back then. Half of that credit belongs to me. I have to get a real explanation. If he gives up this easily, does that mean everything I did for him was just trash? After the two of them left, no one had the appetite to finish the meal anymore. Ji Boxiao looked at the gloomy faces. He was so angry, he was about to explode.
Well played, Cheng Chuan.
You're not even here. Yet you still managed to ruin my party. I truly underestimated you. He looked up with a fake, aggrieved expression. Sister Baiyue, I'm so sorry. Sister Gu was kind enough to treat us to dinner. I didn't expect the atmosphere to be ruined like this. It's all my fault. If I hadn't caused tension with Brother Cheng, I wouldn't have put you sisters in such an awkward position. How is this your fault? Shen Nianjia felt indignant on his behalf. As I see it, this is still all on Cheng Chuan. He used to seem so sensible.
Why has he become so bizarre now?
A junior who is both handsome and brilliant, with such outstanding professional skills.
Why can't he just be supportive of you?
Does he think the entire world has to revolve around him? Qin Yao gave a dry, forced laugh. Hey there, Junior. That's exactly how it is? I can only say that human jealousy is truly terrifying. Don't you agree, Sister Baiyu? Agree with what? Just focus on your meal. Gu Baiyue glanced at Ji Boxiao. Don't listen to Qin Yao's nonsense.
You are both my juniors.
My attitude toward both of you is perfectly fair. I never imagined Cheng Chuan would resent you for this. If that's really the truth, then I truly owe you an apology. Ji Boxiao hurriedly waved his hands. No. Sister Baiyue, this has nothing to do with you. If Brother Cheng really hates me because of this, then I'll find a day to explain everything clearly to him. There is no need to explain anything. Gu Baiyu's expression darkened. He has no right to control who I am close with. If has really lost his sense of propriety over this, then it will only make me despise him even more. Leaving the team early might actually be for the best. Inside, Ji Boxiao was secretly cheering. Gu Baiyue finally took his side. A peaceful night's sleep followed. I opened my eyes, staring blankly at the ceiling above. It still felt a bit surreal. Have I really been reborn? No longer the prisoner trapped in a dark cell, drowning in gloomy depression, unable to close my eyes through the long nights, always wanting to smash my head against the wall like a pathetic wretch. No longer that fool dreaming someone would come pick me up from the hospital, longing for the sister's forgiveness, struggling to make the professor proud of me again, truly stupid beyond salvation. As soon as I woke up, a hand waved in front of my face. Chiang's smiling face peeked down from the top bunk. Where is your phone? Let's add each other on WeChat. I'll send you the materials for today's consultation later. After I had gotten up and finished tidying up, picked up my phone. There were 21 missed calls, except for Shen Nianjia. The other 4 had all called me. My WeChat was flooded with messages, both in their small 7-person group, and private messages from Fang Ruoruo as well. If this were the old me, I would have excitedly replied to each one of them immediately. But now I just glanced through them indifferently, then opened my QR code to add He Chiang. Have you finished the task Professor Diane gave you yesterday? Shall do a surprise check when we meet later. It's very easy to get punished if you're not done. You should be mentally prepared. He Chiang reminded me while letting out a long yawn. Oh, right. You don't have your own set of acupuncture needles yet, do you? One of these days, ask Wanqing to take you to get a custom set made. We're all used to using our own personal tools. Yes, sir! I hurriedly agreed. Thank you so much. He Chiang laughed and gave my head a vigorous rub. You really are a good kid. Makes me just want to pamper you. Haha. No need to be so polite with me. Our major is always so deserted. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Having a junior like you join us makes me very happy. I smiled back at him. I'm very happy to be here too. Let's hurry up and get ready. We have to see the professor soon. After He Kiang went into the bathroom, I looked down and scrolled through the group messages. Everyone already knew about me leaving the team, but absolutely no one believed it. They all thought I was just throwing a tantrum,
waiting for them to come and coddle me like always.
I let out a soft, mocking scoff. I sent a few brief words to the group. Me leaving the team is for real. I'm not joking at all. Right after sending the message, I immediately left the chat group. Then I conveniently put my phone on silent mode. Professor Dian's consultation starts at 10 a.m., but they were already at the clinic by 9 a.m. He Chiang definitely wasn't lying to me. Professor Dian wanted to test their skills before the consultation.
Wanqing, you start first.
There's a mannequin over there. Bring it over and demonstrate the needle technique I taught yesterday. Professor Dian pointed toward the model. Upon hearing this request, I let out a small sigh of relief. Yesterday, when Professor Dian taught the technique to Mu Wanqing, she didn't require He Chiang and me to follow along. Luckily, my memory is very good. I practically memorized it after hearing it just once. All the acupuncture points are already marked on the model. Repeating the acupuncture sequence shouldn't be too hard. However, as soon as Mu Wanqing began inserting the needles, I realized I had been far too naive. Professor Dian, whose reputation rivals Professor Tang's when it comes to her few students, there is no way she would go easy during an exam. By the time Mu Wanqing finished the last needle, I was shocked to find I couldn't remember a single hand movement. She treated all 21 points in just 15 seconds, dividing the order of front, back, left, and right so intricately. This requires more than just a good memory. It's the result of arduous practice day and night. The moment Mu Wanqing stopped her hands, Dee and Jenny immediately turned her gaze toward me. Do you have anything to say? Even if I practiced day and night without sleep for a year, I could never match her speed and precision, senior sister. I swallowed hard, filled with admiration. But I think if we set those two factors aside, then I still have hope of graduating successfully. Dee and Jenny's expression suddenly darkened. You only care about graduating successfully? Of course not, Professor. I shook my head firmly. If I can make it to grad school, I will definitely choose this major for advanced research. I truly want to achieve great things on this path. Only then did Dion's expression soften slightly. As for the reasons, besides the two you mentioned yesterday, I pursed my lips slightly. A rare, bright smile spread across my face. If I said that I've already fallen in love with this major, would you believe me, Professor? Dee and Jenny burst into laughter.
Good. Very good.
You certainly have good taste. Loving it is the right choice. Remember exactly what you just said. If you don't pick this major for grad school later on, I have a dozen ways to make sure you never graduate. He Qiang secretly gave a tug on the hand of Mu Wanqing. Doesn't your mother look like Shez luring an innocent boy? Tisk! Poor little Cheng Chuan. He still doesn't realize how wicked people can be. Hez already in her crosshairs, and he doesn't have a single clue. No one is plotting against him. Mu Wanqing's face turned cold. He Qiang retorted indignantly. How is she not plotting? That's your mother we're talking about. She's had her eye on Cheng Chuan, the top student, for ages. Shez always wanted to snatch him from Professor Tang, to get him to focus solely on Chinese medicine. Now it seems she's finally gotten her wish. Mu Wanqing's expression grew very grim. She turned and shot He Qiang a blistering glare. He came here of his own accord. Right. He Qiang nodded frantically. But how can you be sure he sought us out specifically? Maybe he went to the hospital to find a different professor, and your mother just intercepted him first. You're really overthinking this. Mu Wanqing looked at him as if he were an idiot. Hez already a fourth-year student. If he truly wants to switch majors now, the acupuncture department is the most logical choice. Hez currently in such a popular major.
Why would he insist on switching?
He Qiang scratched his head, completely baffled. Even if he wanted a double major, he wouldn't choose a major that's so deserted, because he has no other path left to take. Mu Wanqing coldly tossed the tablet to He Qiang. He Qiang saw the school forum displayed on the screen. His whole team turned on him for accusing Ji Boxiao of plagiarism, not to mention everyone gossiping about him behind his back, and even being forced to make a public apology. But even so, he didn't have to leave the team and run to us. After all, Professor Tang's team is prestigious and very popular. Mu Wanqing let out a cold smirk, because he's not stupid at all. Instead of staying there as a punching bag, it's much better to come here and be our core student. If it were you, which path would you choose? If it were me, obviously I'd pick the popular major. He Qiang answered as if it were the most obvious thing. It's not like you don't know that. If acupuncture wasn't my family's heritage, I wouldn't have even glanced at this major back then. If I were in Cheng Chuan's shoes, just to have an easier time finding a good job after graduation, I'd definitely stick to Professor Tang's team at any cost, even if I had to be a complete nobody. At least a nobody in a top-tier team. Isn't that 10,000 times better than our empty major? The one with absolutely no future for research. Mu Wanqing gave him another look reserved for fools. Speaking of which, it turns out you've been working hard to trick him into staying, just so you can easily slip away yourself, right? Should I go and report this to my mother? Shut it. He Qiang put on a mock ferocious face. I'm trying to keep him here. Isn't it partly to help you vent your frustration? Don't think I don't know the real reason why you picked this major. Mu Wanqing's face suddenly turned ice cold. Just look at your post and talk a bit less. Little Cheng Chuan leaving Professor Tang's team has been leaked. The school forum is absolutely buzzing about it right now. He probably has no idea who exactly he has managed to offend to have someone cut off all his retreat paths like this. He Qiang clicked his tongue.
Well, that's it.
No need for you to bother tricking him anymore. His only remaining option is to stay right here. Mu Wanqing took the tablet back. Scanning through the news feed, a cold, mocking smile played on her lips. You remember what happened before? The time Mother fought over a student with Professor Tang. Do you want to help her vent that old frustration? Back then, Dian Jennis' research focus was similar to Professor Tang's. Both were prestigious, high-ranking professors, with vast amounts of teaching experience. Their academic ranks were also on par with each other. There was a very promising talent among the new graduate students that year. Both of them wanted to recruit that student for their team. Originally, that student had promised Dian Jenny they would join her. However, not long after, who knows what underhanded tactics Professor Tang used to make that student suddenly change their mind. This incident became the reason why Dian Jenny gave up on recruiting students for popular majors and decided to shift toward a new research path instead, one completely opposite to Professor Tang's direction, to ensure he would never have the chance to steal a student again. The only thing was, after that, too few people cared about the major Dian Jenny was teaching, leading to a very long period of time where other teachers constantly made her the subject of gossip and ridicule. Everyone believed she had completely lost to Professor Tang. What kind of scheme are you planning? He Qiang's face was full of frantic worry. Don't you dare do anything foolish. Cheng Chuan probably doesn't want anyone to know he switched majors. You absolutely cannot go public with this on your own. Mu Wanqing shot He Qiang a sharp, decisive look, then suddenly strode toward me.
When exactly did you leave Professor Tang's team?
I was stunned. I just wrote the resignation letter last night, sister. I couldn't fathom why Mu Wanqing was suddenly asking this. What about joining Professor Dian's team? Do you want everyone to know about it? Mu Wanqing looked at me and continued her questioning. A glimmer of immense joy flashed across my face. Is that really okay? Do I really have a chance to join Professor Dian's team? But, I mean, I still have to wait for the final exams this semester. If I really can join Professor Dian's team, then of course, I'd love to make it public. By doing this, I can let Gu Baiyue and the others see my resolve clearly. I am absolutely not just making a joke. I'm completely serious about leaving that team. Mu Wanqing let out a faint smile. Then let's just go public with it.
This boy really?
Yan Zhenyi chided affectionately, but didn't object at all. She even took the initiative to pull me closer. The acupuncture points you just named were all correct. However, just memorizing the names isn't enough. You must also be able to locate them accurately on the body. I will give you 3 full days. In exactly 3 days, I will test you again. If you don't pass the challenge, you'll still be punished. By now, my face was beaming like a blooming flower. I will definitely pass it, I promise. You can rest completely assured, Professor. So, is it really true that I've officially joined the team? You guys aren't just messing with me, right?
Wanqing has already made it crystal clear for you.
How could it not be the truth? He Qiang strolled over toward us, pointing his hand toward Mu Wanqing, who was busy on the tablet. Overjoyed, I rushed over and gave her a giant hug. This is amazing. It's truly wonderful. This is the happiest I've been since my rebirth. I never expected switching mentors to go so smoothly. Is Dian Zhenyi really better than Professor Tang? I can't say for sure just yet, but at least for now, Professor Dian and I have no bad blood. Furthermore, I believe that if I'm always sincere with others, then surely not everyone I meet in this life will be bad. After Mu Wanqing helped me announce my joining of the team, on the official school forum, she tossed the tablet back to He Qiang. They seemed to pay no more attention to the matter, immediately diving back into their busy daily routines. It seemed that for them, this consultation was just a normal day where Professor Dian took on a new student. Nothing particularly big or strange about it. In total contrast, back at the university, Gu Baiyue and the others were practically going insane with rage. Who exactly dared to leak the news that Cheng Chuan wanted to leave? Do you people even bother bringing your brains to work? I really didn't know anything about this. Liu Xiaoyun replied with a whimpering, teary face. Yesterday, Ruo and I scrambled through several hospitals, but we couldn't find a single trace of Cheng Chuan. We called his phone, but it just rang and rang without an answer. We were terrified something bad had happened to him, so we didn't dare say a single word about this to anyone. Fang Ruo scratched her head in total confusion. Cheng Chuan isn't normally such an impulsive person. Even if he really wanted to leave the research team, he would never go around broadcasting it all over the internet. He's just not the type to be that calculating. So why did things turn out like this? Ji Boxiao's eyes were red, looking ready to cry. First, it was me who had trouble, and now it's brother Cheng's turn to suffer. Gossip on the internet can truly kill a person. Who on earth could be so malicious?
Why do they keep targeting us like this?
In fact, me leaving the team was entirely orchestrated by Ji Boxiao. He clearly wanted to force me out without a shred of mercy, leaving me with absolutely no way to turn back. He definitely didn't want the sisters to coax me back, and even less so have them harbor any suspicion toward him. He had to maintain a perfectly clean image for himself, just like he did with the previous incident. Not only did they not suspect him one bit, but he also gained a mountain of sympathy from everyone, making everyone feel incredibly sorry for him. I have to admit one thing. Ji Boxiao's luck is still remarkably good. Barely after he finished speaking, Qin Yao happened to scroll past Mu Wanqing's post on the forum. Someone says Cheng Chuan has officially joined Professor Dian's team. Was the news of him leaving leaked by this group on purpose? Hurry, give me that phone and let me see. Gu Baiyue snatched the phone out of Qin Yao's hand, and after just a single glance, she recognized immediately that the poster was Mu Wanqing. Shen Nianjia also leaned in curiously to take a peek. I heard a rumor with my own ears that Professor Dian and Professor Tang never liked each other. The two of them had so many conflicts just over students. Sisters. Don't you think this is ridiculous? Do they really think that by pulling Cheng Chuan to their side, they can brag about outdoing Professor Tang? Gu Baiyue clenched her fists in a fit of rage. Fury suddenly washed over her normally gentle face. Cheng Chuan has always stayed right by my side. His grades in the major have always been top of the class. Several professors have tried to recruit him in the past. Mu Wanqing's sudden appearance at this time is likely part of that dark agenda, but even if it's something we no longer want to use, we absolutely cannot allow him to join their team. I will definitely never let her achieve her goal. Liu Xiaoyun was naturally a hothead. So what are you sisters just standing there for? Go and find Cheng Chuan immediately! His personality is so simple and gullible. On top of that, he's currently suffering from illness. This is when he's at his most vulnerable. If we're not careful, someone will sweet-talk him and make him disappear. It's not certain that Mu Wanqing is the mastermind behind everything. Shen Nianjia wore a look of intense malice and coldness. I saw him with my own eyes in the archive room yesterday. Shut your mouth right now. Fang Ruo rushed over like the wind and grabbed her collar. Would it kill you to stop stirring up trouble for once? Yesterday, you were the one who said Cheng Chuan was being rude to you, that he absolutely refused to help you organize the documents. And look at the result. Hez seriously ill in the hospital. We've been by his side for so many years. Do you really not understand what kind of person he is? How could someone like him associate with the likes of Mu King?
Sister Baiyue.
It's clear that Mu Girl is taking advantage of the situation to lure Cheng Chuan. We absolutely cannot be the ones to push him over to the enemy side. Shen Nianjia indignantly shoved Fang Ruru's hand away. How can you say we are the ones pushing him away? The fact that he demanded to leave this research team came straight out of his own mouth. None of us were bored enough to try and drive him out. It's true that we didn't drive him away, but none of us cared when he was sick and suffering. Liu Xiaoyun hurried to support Fang Ruoruo, then turned and gave Shen Nianjia a cold, piercing glare.
Cheng Chuan ended up like this partly because we spoiled him.
Whatever the case, if he made a mistake, we share the responsibility. Instead of taking responsibility ourselves, we heartlessly dumped all the blame and garbage onto him. This is truly unacceptable and goes too far. Even if Hez just sulking or throwing a tantrum, it's likely because Hez desperate for us to comfort him. If we didn't want to comfort him, fine.
But how could we blame him for what that Mu girl did?
Qin Yao nodded slightly in complete agreement. Xiaoyun, what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense. We definitely have to meet Cheng Chuan to get the real story. Besides, I would never believe for a second that he would foolishly give up Professor Tang's popular major, just to plunge into Professor Dian's deserted department.
Yao Yao, you've spoken exactly what's on my mind.
I could never believe he would be that stupid either, that he would voluntarily leave Professor Tang's elite team. Only then did Gu Baiyu's expression gradually soften. If Professor Tang intended for me to inquire about the situation, then it proves he never truly wanted him to leave either. We absolutely cannot let that Mu girl fish in troubled waters, whether it's a momentary impulse or he really wants to go. Bottom line, he is not allowed to leave at this particular time. Gu Baiyue swore never to let Mu Wanqing steal anyone from her, even if it was someone she no longer cared about. Sister Baiyue, how about I try to persuade Brother Cheng? Being both guys, it might be easier for us to find common ground. Besides, this whole mess started because of me anyway. Definitely do whatever it takes to convince him to come back. G.I. Boxiao really hadn't foreseen things turning out like this. It was truly a case of being hoisted by his own petard. He thought that this time he would be able to completely cut off every single path for his retreat. Who would have guessed that Mu Girl would suddenly jump in like that? Just like that, I suddenly became the prize in a tug-of-war between both sides.
How about I go with you?
Shen Nianjia cursed silently in her heart. She thought I was just a discarded pawn of the group, someone she could trample on without consequence. Perhaps even using me to curry favor with Gu Baiyue and Ji Boxiao. Who would have thought? First, my illness caused her to lose everyone's trust, and now my departure from the group has Professor Tian fighting for me. It seems I won't be leaving the group just yet, and maybe I can even win back Gu Baiyu's regard. I just don't know where he is right now. Shen Nianjia felt a bit of a headache. He hasn't returned to school. He's not answering his phone. Finding him won't be easy at all. Ji? Boxiao weakly raised his hand. Do you think Mu Wanqing knows about him leaving the team? Because he accidentally said something when he ran into her. At the hospital. You mean Cheng Chuan is at the TCM hospital? Shen Nianjia reacted quickly. Liu Xiaoyun looked excited. Very likely, Cheng Chuan has always been frugal. And the TCM hospital has a partnership with our school. Students get a discount on checkups. He must have gone to the TCM hospital. Gu Baiyue glanced at the others. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go find him. The few of them rushed out of the school gates. Ji Boxiao walked at the very back, watching their hurried backs, feeling quite uneasy in his heart. Gu Baiyue. They searched from the outpatient clinic to the inpatient ward of the TCM hospital. They ran through all the inpatient buildings, but there was still no sign of me. Sister Gu, should we keep looking? Ji Boxiao was so tired he could barely breathe, his face turning quite pale. He rested his hands on his knees, looking at Gu Baiyue. Gu Baiyue saw his pale face, and suddenly felt a pang of pity. Let's stop. Sit down and rest. Go buy you some milk tea. G.E. Boxiao's appearance reminded her of me when I first joined the team. Back then, I was just a sophomore, because I had come from a poor rural school. My professional knowledge was far behind many others. When she first formed the team, she didn't consider me at all. But I had a resilient, unyielding spirit, and I was also very diligent and incredibly obedient. Many tasks only needed to be assigned once for me to complete them perfectly, never causing her much worry. Because of that, she was also willing to care for me more, giving me thoughtful attention, loving me like her own younger brother. She originally thought this relationship would stay beautiful forever, but then she discovered it turned out that I liked her, a country boy.
What right did he have to dare like her?
Just then, Ji Boxiao appeared. Compared to me, G.I. Boxiao had a matching family background, and he was also the department's idol. His academic achievements were also brilliant. Most importantly, Ji Boxiao was very sensible, considerate, and knew how to please others. Compared to someone as dull and unromantic as me, he was many times more lovable. Even though she never thought of choosing Ji Boxiao as a boyfriend, she was more than willing to use him to make me back off. That's why she gave Ji Boxiao more of her attention. Who would have thought I couldn't handle the pressure? To the point of doing something as despicable as slander. So, don't blame her for being heartless. After all, Ji Boxiao was just an innocent victim caught in my mess. In fact, after that incident, Gu Baiyue didn't intend to make things harder for me. Even though I used the medals to embarrass her, she could still forgive me for the sake of our past bond. As long as I remained as I was before, obediently following behind her. She would still love and protect me like a younger brother. But this time, I've really gone too far, daring to use leaving the team as a threat to everyone. And on top of that, daring to ignore her calls. So she can't be blamed anymore. Bayue called everyone to come back and bought milk tea for each of them. No need to look for Cheng Chuan anymore. If he wants to leave the group, then just let him go. Let me see. Once he leaves here, where else can he possibly go? Does he really plan to join Professor Tian's team? Studying that obscure major, he won't even find a job after graduation. Does he want to starve to death? Fang Ruoruo looked a bit
Sad. Senior.
Are we really not going to ask for Cheng Chuan's opinion again? If you want to ask, go ask him yourself. Yu Baiyue had completely lost her patience with this matter. Turning around and walking straight back to school. Qin Yao patted Fang Ruoro's shoulder. How can you ask if you can't even find him? If you're really worried about him, tomorrow there's Professor Tang's specialized class. It won't be too late to see him then and ask.
Right, exactly.
He both quit the team and refuses to see us. Even if we wanted to comfort him, we wouldn't have the chance. Lu Xiaoyun put her arm around Fang Ruoro's shoulder.
I'll go with you to find him tomorrow.
And see how it'll teach him a lesson. This brat has really something else now, daring to play a disappearing act with us. I'm so furious. Jibok Xiao drank his milk tea, lost in deep thought. What exactly is Cheng Chuan up to? Does he really not want to return to the team? Ji Boxiao couldn't immediately guess my intentions, but this was clearly a good sign for him. As long as I didn't come back to compete, sooner or later he would win the favor of the seniors. By then, everything in this research group would belong to him. I didn't care at all what Jibok Xiao was thinking. Right now, I was busy recording the consultation process. In that consultation group, I ran into several familiar faces. They were all masters in the field of domestic medical research, figures who could usually only be seen in prestigious medical journals. During the second half of the consultation, a minor incident occurred. A well-known professor in the field of pharmacology made a suggestion to Professor Tian regarding the combined research between cytology and acupuncture. I think we should still invite Professor Tang to join. After all, he is a leading expert in the field of cells, understanding it better than anyone present here. Do you think I'm dead? Professor Tian's normally gentle face suddenly showed a trace of anger. If you don't know about the deep feud between me and that old man, then I suggest you go and get the facts straight. Does he even deserve to be called an expert? Invite him here to treat my patients to death, perhaps. The expert who made the suggestion was scolded into a speechless rage. Professor Tian, your words are far too harsh. Our goal is to overcome cell-related pathologies. Anyone who can benefit the research project, we should invite them to join. How can you let personal grudges exclude someone capable of helping the research group like that? Doing so is completely unworthy of the status of a healer. Professor Tian gave a cold snort. Then I apologize. But my group doesn't need someone like Professor Tang to join. If you think he's so great, then go find him yourself.
You are not welcome here.
Oh my god, so cool.
I swallowed hard, looking at Professor Tian with eyes full of admiration. My new mentor is incredibly tough. Furthermore, it seems I've accidentally aligned myself with Professor Tang's rival. The more I think about it, the more exciting it gets. Will Gu Baiyu's crowd think I did this on purpose? Well, actually, I did do it on purpose. Let them die of anger. What are you smiling at? Hurry up and show this professor your knowledge of pharmacology and cytology. So he knows that, in my group, even a temporary intern is no ordinary person. Professor Tian suddenly pulled me. Greetings, professors. I began presenting from the theory of cytology research to the application of pharmacology, then to the intervention of acupuncture and many other aspects. I comprehensively analyzed the feasibility of Professor Tian's new research topic. My speech wasn't long. It made the entire room fall silent. Even Professor Tian couldn't hide her surprise. This boy seemed even more outstanding than she had imagined. After a moment of silence, came a burst of applause like rolling thunder. Say, young man, your major isn't acupuncture, is it? No. I have nothing to hide. My major is cytology. I heard Professor Tang is also forming a research group for a new topic. If you've specialized in cells, then why haven't you? Before he could finish, he was irritably interrupted by Professor Tian.
What is my group?
Not worthy of having an outstanding cytology student. I didn't mean that. The man gently patted Professor Tian's arm. I'm just afraid the past will repeat itself. After all, forming our research group wasn't easy at all. Professor Tian glanced at me. Rest assured, it won't happen this time. This child, Professor Tang, will never be able to steal him away. Hearing you say that puts my mind at ease. Then let's conclude today's consultation here. Once your group has finalized its staff, start the research as soon as possible. As for the patient, I will speak directly with the family. The professor who just spoke stood up, pushing up the frames of his glasses, his gaze lingering on me for a moment. In the end, he said nothing more, and left first with another professor. Professor Tian turned to look at me. Did you hear everything, Professor? He said. Since you've joined my group,
Don't go looking for greener pastures.
I don't like students with crooked characters. Rest assured, Professor Tian, I definitely won't change my mind. and I will absolutely never go back. To Professor Tang's side, I gave a firm assurance. That was Professor He Jin from the Clinical Medicine Department, and Professor Zhang Chunran from the Pharmacology Department. Chiang stepped forward and said, "It's just that this consultation case is quite special, and our research group is being formed precisely because of related cases. Professor He and Professor Zhang will be our technical support.
You've studied pharmacology.
But you probably haven't touched clinical medicine, right? Later in the research process, if there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Professor He directly." Great. I looked triumphant as if I had just struck gold, feeling as though it'd suddenly gained 2 more mentors. Professor Tien gave a soft laugh. "Don't be happy too soon. My group is short-staffed, and since you've specialized in cells, I'm making an exception to let you join. But if you can't pass my examination, I will still return your internship profile." "I will definitely pass, Professor." I was full of confidence in my choice. Professor Tien stood up to leave. "Come on, let me take you on a tour of our laboratory." He Qiang clutched his documents and followed. I was just about to go with them, when Mu Wanqing suddenly pulled my sleeve. "Remember your words well? If you dare betray Professor Tien, I have plenty of ways to ensure you never make a name for yourself in this industry, just preventing me from practicing." I yanked my sleeve back. "Anyone who dares to betray me, I will certainly make them wish they were dead." Mu Wanqing was momentarily dazed, watching the young man's departing back. She suddenly burst into laughter, as if she had just discovered an earth-shattering secret. The next day, when I returned to school, the moment I stepped into the dormitory, Chen Hao grabbed me and told me about all the school gossip from the past few days. "Did you have a falling out with Sister Gu and the others?" "On the school forum."
Why is everyone buzzing about you leaving Professor Tang's research group?
I shook my head. No falling out. But leaving the group is for real. Chen Hao's face was filled with shock. So many people fought tooth and nail just to get into Professor Tang's group. And here you are, just quitting like it's nothing.
What on earth are you thinking?
I just smiled, offering no explanation.
You guys have a class later, right?
"If you don't go now, you'll be late."
Don't. You have a class too.
As Chen Hao packed his things, he was about to pull me out of the room with him. I brushed his hand away. "I won't be attending the courses I registered for before for now. I've changed my major. So I don't have classes right now."
What?
Chen Hao panicked. "It's already our senior year. What kind of crazy major are you switching to? Do you not want to graduate anymore?" "Of course I do." I patted my backpack. "That's why I plan to self-study and just take the exams at the end of the semester. Anyway, attendance doesn't matter much. As long as I pass the exams, I can still get the credits as usual. It won't affect my graduation." Seeing that class was about to start, Chen Hao didn't have time to ask more. He could only exclaim, "I really respect you. You're a true man's man."
Waiting until everyone in the room had left.
I took out the textbooks related to acupuncture. All of these books were recommended to me by He Qiang, ranging from beginner to advanced levels. Afraid I wouldn't understand them, he even sent me Professor Tian's lecture videos for free. I was so moved, I almost cried, remembering when I first started Professor Tang's course. There were things I didn't understand, and I wanted to find videos to review the lessons, but I couldn't find them anywhere no matter how hard I looked. When I went to see Professor Tang personally to ask, he even gave me a harsh scolding. Professor Tang's exact words back then were, "Do you have any idea how precious my lecture videos are? They aren't something you can just watch whenever you want. You didn't listen carefully in class. And now that class is over, you want to watch my lectures for free. Who do you think you are?" "Exactly. If you want to learn, pay for it yourself." People only appreciate things when they have to pay for them. And yet, he had the gall to prettify his words, saying it was for my own good. I really don't understand why I was so foolish in my past life to actually believe his deceptive words. Looking back now, all of Professor Tang's actions were nothing but a pursuit of money. He had lost even the basic professional ethics of a teacher, let alone being dedicated to answering students' questions. As soon as Chen Hao finished class, he was stopped by Feng Ruoruo. "Has Cheng Chuan returned to school today?"
Why didn't I see him in class?
"He's back, sister. He said Hez changed his major, and Hez dropped all his previous courses." Chen Hao looked puzzled. "You and he are so close. Didn't he say anything to you? Or did something happen between you two? Otherwise, why would he suddenly withdraw from Professor Tang's group and then demand a major switch?" Fang Ruoruo tried to suppress the shock in her heart.
What exactly did he tell you?
Well, he said the stuff on the forum.
Is actually true. He really did leave Professor Tang's group and has even switched to another major. Chen Hao looked at Fang Ruoruo, blushing slightly. "Is it true that nothing serious happened between you two?" Fang Ruoruo bit her lip and shook her head. "No, don't go guessing things. Do you know what new major he chose?" "No. I'm not sure about that. He didn't say." Chen Hao shook his head. "If you want to know, just ask him yourself." "Hez in the dormitory right now." Fang Ruoruo breathed a soft sigh of relief. "Then please call him down here for me. Everyone will be waiting for him in the dormitory lobby." After asking Chen Hao for the favor, Fang Ruoruo immediately messaged the group to report that I was back at school. Chen Hao returned to the dorm room. "Cheng Chuan, Sister Fang, is looking for you. Shez currently waiting downstairs. Level with me and tell me exactly what has happened." Everyone looks incredibly angry. Maybe they're just angry because I suddenly changed majors. I stood up. "I'll go downstairs and speak with them clearly." Chen Hao stopped me. "Why on earth do you want to change majors? You were clearly obsessed with Professor Tang's lectures before, always the most attentive listener, and the top student in this major Could it be because of that plagiarism incident? Don't go making wild guesses. I don't want to explain much. I got bored of studying the same thing, so I'm switching to something new. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. I brushed past Chen Hao and walked downstairs. In front of the male dormitory lobby, Fang Ruoruo and Liu Xiaoyun were both there. Ji Boxiao was also with them. As soon as I saw Ji Boxiao's figure, my steps faltered for a moment. I really didn't want to go anywhere near him. The thick smell of green tea coming off Ji Boxiao made me sick. I quickened my pace toward them. Is there something you all need from me? Fang Ruoruo was momentarily stunned. Knowing each other for so long, I had always called her senior respectfully, never using such a distant form of address as I did just now. Only 2 days apart, and I seem to have become a completely different person. I heard you want to leave the research group and also switch majors. Liu Xiaoyun, always hot-headed, didn't care at all about the change in my tone. The moment we met, she threw out a harsh interrogation.
Chung Chuan, you have some nerve. You think you can just leave the group like that?
And change your major just like that.
Have you ever even asked for our opinion?
Hearing that, I only found it ridiculous. I looked at Liu Xiaoyun with indifference. Leaving the group or changing my major, these are all my personal business.
Why on earth should I have to ask for your opinion?
Liu Xiaoyun was countered so sharply she was speechless. I had always been an obedient person, never once daring to speak to her in this tone. Even when I rejected her confession years ago, I had to speak very delicately, for fear of upsetting her. Even my expression back then carried a hint of fawning. There was no way I would have shown such a sarcastic, cold face as I do now. If to me, they were just busybody strangers poking their noses into other people's business. Senior, how can you speak to the seniors with that attitude? Ji Boxiao began his fake green tea routine again. Everyone is just worried about you, afraid you'll be led astray and throw away your bright future. So they rushed over here to advise you not to act rashly?
Why are you being so ungrateful?
Liu Xiaoyun gave Ji Boxiao a grateful look, then turned to glare at me with a spiteful face. Don't be so unappreciative of our kindness. We only came here to advise you out of respect for our past bond. If you insist on destroying this friendship, then don't even dream about returning to Professor Tang's research group. I burst into loud laughter. Friendship? Where on earth is there any such thing between us? Someone like Liu Xiaoyun, with a temper both hot and impulsive, always thinking she's right, never willing to listen to anyone else's explanation. Once she believes something is right, even if the truth is clearly the opposite, she absolutely refuses to back down. In my past life, because of that bizarre personality of hers, the group's research project ran into no small amount of trouble. Yet, in the end, she dumped all the blame and responsibility onto me, even claiming it was because I wouldn't listen to her advice. Now, I must show her clearly exactly what I look like when I don't follow advice. My face was full of sarcasm. Who told you I still want to return to Professor Tang's research group? Liu Xiaoyun was shut down for the second time. This was the first time she felt her long-standing authority had suddenly become useless in my presence. Clearly before, the moment she flared up, I would immediately admit fault and beg for forgiveness, and then patiently spend hours comforting her.
Why have I changed like this?
Why do I dare to confront her, even laugh in her face? Fang Ruoruo, standing nearby, felt an immense headache, her brows knitted tightly together. Chung Chuan, don't be so impulsive. This is absolutely not a joke. 4 years of grinding through this major. Can you really just give it all up just like that? Have you completely forgotten the promises from years ago? The oath to stand together at the peak of medical glory, to enjoy the most prestigious achievements together. I haven't forgotten. I pulled back the playful look on my face. That peak, I will certainly reach it. And the ultimate glory in the medical world, I will exert all my effort to achieve it as well. But none of that has anything to do with me changing my major. Listen to what kind of joke you're telling. Liu Xiaoyun gave a mocking sneer, switching majors at this stage. Daring to leave Professor Tang's group, and yet you're dreaming of standing at the peak of glory. You're truly far too naive. I had completely lost my patience. All of you, just go. I've already submitted my resignation from the group, and my decision to change majors is final. It absolutely will not change. With those words, I coldly turned my back and walked away, and secret joy welled up within Ji Boxiao. He never expected me to give up so quickly. Senior, may I ask what new major you've chosen? That has nothing to do with you. I frowned slightly. I didn't want to give Ji Boxiao any of my attention. Ji Boxiao is nothing but a blood-sucking demon. He has his sights set on Professor Tang and his entire team. In my past life, I ruined Ji Boxiao's schemes time and time again, saving those senior sisters over and over again. But in the end, those senior sisters were bewitched by Ji Boxiao's honeyed words. They stubbornly believed that I was the villain. Not only did they use words to insult me, but they also kicked me out of the team. Now, I won't do those self-destructive things anymore. Let Ji Boxiao and those senior sisters be as lovey-dovey as they want. Is that all right, senior? Ji Boxiao was humiliated. He put on a wronged, pitiful expression and looked at Liu Xiaoyun. How could Liu Xiaoyun possibly withstand that look from him? She aggressively rushed over and grabbed me firmly.
Junior G is asking you a question.
Why aren't you answering him?
If you're sick, go get yourself treated.
Let go!
A cold gleam flashed in my eyes. As I looked at Liu Xiaoyun, it was as if I was looking at a complete fool. Liu Xiaoyun was stunned. She had never seen me with such an expression before, filled with utter contempt and disdain. By the time she realized she was being looked down upon, her entire body trembled with rage.
Chung Chuan, You've got some nerve.
If I ever care about you again, then a total pig.
Junior G, let's go.
She dragged Ji Boxiao away. Fang Ruoro's expression suddenly froze. She watched Lu Xiaoyun leave, then turned back to look at me. Have you really thought this through? Do you absolutely have to leave the team? I blinked slightly, having long since lost my patience. If that's all, then leaving.
Cheng Chuan.
Fang Ruoruo still wasn't ready to let it go. Don't blame Senior Gu and Professor Tang. They never had any intention of kicking you out. If you change your mind now, it's not too late.
Wed. Still welcome you back to the team.
I curled my lip in disdain. No need. My brain isn't fried. I was already destroyed once.
Why on earth would I go back there?
Back at the dormitory, my mood wasn't affected in the slightest. I continued reading. My roommate Chen Hao found it extremely baffling. I just saw your books. They're all about acupuncture. Is your new major really acupuncture?
Yeah.
I replied without even looking up. Chen Hao really couldn't sit still anymore, although he and I weren't exactly close. We've shared a room for 4 whole years. He had long since considered me a friend.
Cheng Chuan.
Acupuncture is the least popular major in our school. You're jumping from the hottest major to the most obscure major. Isn't the gap just too massive? Have you really thought this through? You won't regret it later, will you? This is a lifelong decision. Don't mess around with this. Don't be impulsive. I knew he sincerely cared about me, so I had to explain a bit more. I've thought it through very carefully. Studying acupuncture now doesn't mean giving up my old major. Just leaving Professor Tang's team. The issue isn't as serious as you think. I need a place for my internship, and I need a mentor. Professor Tian was willing to take me in at this time. I'm very grateful to her. Chen Hao caught onto something hidden in my words. Is that Professor Tang? I don't want to bring up the other things. In short, I'm completely serious about this. I'm not joking around. I also believe I can excel in acupuncture. I smiled at him. I had no intention of explaining further. Chen Hao's curiosity was surging wildly. He was restless. He didn't dare to ask more. He could only speculate wildly on his own.
Oh, right. The forum is absolutely buzzing right now.
Check it out when you have a chance. Senior Gu and Senior Mu don't seem to get along at all. Lots of people are waiting to watch the drama unfold. I know. Picked up my phone. Thanks. Chen Hao waved it off. Don't mention it, but if you really want to help, could you give me a little guidance? About next month's medical innovation competition. Chen Hao's words suddenly jogged my memory. In my past life, I was still on Professor Tang's team back then. Gu Baiyue had also registered for that competition. The rules stated each team must have 3 to 6 members. Clearly, that creative idea was my own. I personally planned it from start to finish. Even the final presentation essay was written by me. But my name wasn't on the final participant list, just because Gu Baiyue said my exam records were already impressive enough. Conversely, Ji Boxiao's resume was far too thin. Furthermore, they were a team. There shouldn't be distinctions between the strong and the weak to pull everyone up to the same level. This time, Ji Boxiao's name would be on the entry. Since Ji Boxiao had contributed throughout the creative process, back then, looking into Gu Baiyu's gentle, watery eyes, I was like a man possessed, agreeing instantly. Afterwards, the team won the special prize. The individual prize money was 100,000 yuan, yet Ji Boxiao didn't give me a single cent. Not only did he not share the prize money, but the whole team casually used my idea to triumphantly accept the championship trophy. Once it was over, there wasn't even a word of thanks. It was as if all of that was something I was simply expected to do for them. I took a deep breath. Have you thought of any creative plans yet? Give it to me, it'll take a look for you. I recall that in my past life, Professor Tian's team didn't actually participate in this competition. Instead, Chen Hao's team won the first prize. If I give my creative plan from the past life to Chen Hao and provide a little more guidance, then this special prize
Want it? Have nothing to do with Gu Baiyue's group anymore.
Once the thought occurred to me, it couldn't be extinguished. Chen Hao was originally just joking. He didn't expect me to actually agree. After all, his supervisor's level was still inferior to Professor Tang's back when registering for credits. He had tried to register for Professor Tang's class. Unfortunately, his luck was terrible. He missed out every single year, now being guided by Professor Tang's top student. It was truly a godsend. He eagerly brought his laptop over. Look. This is our idea. It's just that how to write the following part. We still haven't figured it out. I was astonished to discover the creative content of Chen Hao's team was strikingly similar to the proposal I made in my past life. Is this a collective team proposal? Or is it just your personal idea? The whole team thought of it together. Chen Hao opened 2 more document files. We came up with 3 at once, but we felt this one was the best. Problem is, this is the one we don't know how to develop. So that's how it is. I finally understood why Chen Hao's team's entry in my past life.
Wasn't this one?
I clicked around with the mouse. Then I started typing. Even though many years had passed, I still remembered the proposal from my past life very clearly. In no time, subsequent planning details for the creative proposal, I wrote them all out from memory. Take a look at this plan of mine.
Will you guys have any trouble implementing it?
I truly wanted Chen Hao to surpass Gu Baiyue's crowd. So, I didn't hold anything back at all. As soon as he saw the proposal, Chen Hao was driven wild with joy. He nearly lunged forward to give me a hug and a kiss.
Oh my god. Cheng Chuan.
You really understand me so well. A senior on our team once said, the creative plan was stalled at this exact spot because in our team, there is no one specialized in cytology. If we want to turn this idea into reality, then while building the prototype, I'm afraid, well, need someone who studies cytology to provide us with professional data, but you know how it is. Everyone has their own exams. Where would we find a volunteer to help us? Chen Hao paused for a beat. Cheng Chuan, aren't you planning to compete? Even if you do compete, our ideas won't clash with yours anyway. I just smiled faintly. If you trust me, then go ahead and use my plan. If later, while writing the presentation script,
You need me to provide more in-depth data.
just give me a shout. I definitely won't keep any secrets. Chen Hao believed this completely. Being my roommate for 4 years, he couldn't be sure about other things. He always admired my character. At the very least, I never lied. What I promised, I would definitely follow through on. Especially toward those senior sisters of mine. I once treated them with my whole heart and soul.
What a pity they've parted ways now.
Maybe it was that new guy Jibox Xiao playing tricks to drive a wedge. Cheng Chuan is so pure. How could he compete with that scheming green tea man? Chen Hao suddenly felt sorry for me. Cheng Chuan, if anyone dares bully you in the future,
Just tell me.
I'll demand justice for you. And about that stuff on the forum, don't let it get to you. I believe you're not that kind of person. You said he plagiarized. Then he must have truly plagiarized. Even if there's no evidence, I still believe you. I didn't expect him to suddenly bring this up. In an instant, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Thanks. Everything is in the past now. Let's not mention it again. All right, I'll listen to you. Chen Hao turned to finalize the plan I just wrote. While searching for team members to discuss it, I suddenly remembered the forum he had mentioned. The moment I clicked, I saw how much public opinion was buzzing. Following the comments, I found the main post. It was a public announcement about me joining Professor Tian's team. I recalled Mu Wanqing's question from earlier today. It seems the author of this post is Mu Wanqing. I casually hit follow. Then I kept scrolling down. Most students reading the post were gossiping that I had gone insane to dare give up such a hot major. Leaving Professor Tang's team was one thing, but choosing to restart in such an obscure major. Truly, I must have a mental problem. A small minority praised me for being courageous. A real man indeed, truly worthy of respect. As for another group, they were second-guessing my reasons for leaving Professor Tang. The previous plagiarism case was unearthed once again, but this didn't cause any major ripples, because immediately after, everyone's attention was drawn to another campus announcement. The announcement was released in Professor Tang's name. It detailed the list of those who passed the examination to become members of the new research project as follows. Naturally, my name was nowhere on that list. I could only laugh bitterly. Professor Tang is doing this to whitewash Ji Boxiao. Hez afraid the world will label him a plagiarist again, and also to explain my reason for leaving the team, that I had failed to pass the new examination. Just like that, my departure from the team had nothing to do with Professor Tang's group anymore. It both extinguished everyone's suspicions and built up momentum for Ji Boxiao, allowing Ji Boxiao to completely overshadow me. I thought to myself, let the unproven plagiarism go for now. But once I find the evidence and expose Ji Boxiao's cheating in the exam, I wonder if Professor Tang's announcement will become a permanent stain on his life. Suddenly, I felt very eager for that day to arrive soon. I continued scrolling down. Under the notice, the top comment was from Gu Baiyue. She wrote, "Congratulations, Junior.
Welcome to
Our big family. Your arrival has brought sunshine to this otherwise dull research team. I'm looking forward to working with you soon." Right below was a comment from Shen Nianjia. Her words were as flattering and fake as always. I just glanced over it and burst out laughing. There was a time when I naively believed that Shen Nianjia only said those beautiful words to me. Her flattery and praise were meant solely for me, until the day I was loathed and cast out by the whole team, regardless of everything. Only then did I see the wicked face hidden behind Shen Nianjia's words. During my entire time in prison, every time I looked back, I still couldn't understand why someone who used the world's sweetest words to comfort me,
Why, in the blink of an eye?
could use the most venomous curses to humiliate me like that. I didn't see through it before, but after living again, I finally understood. It's all about utility value. In Shen Nianjia's eyes, only the word value exists. She is a typical pragmatist. I didn't stay on that page for too long. I just skimmed through to make sure that all 5 senior sisters, not one was missing. I'm eager to see them being so intimate with Ji Boxiao. That picture of a happy family will be so fascinating. I dragged the mouse back to Mu Wanqing's personal page. I edited and then shared her post. Attached was the status. That's right. I have joined Professor Tian's team. Changing majors in the final year is quite a risky decision, but thanks to Professor Tian for not looking down on me. I definitely won't betray the professor's trust in me. Thanks to Senior Mu Wanqing and Senior He Qiang for always caring for and helping me. Having everyone by my side has given me so much confidence to start over. Truly grateful. As for me, changing my major is the first step toward changing my tragic fate from the previous life. But to others, Current me is nothing but a stray dog that's just been kicked out. Professor Tian's place is just a makeshift refugee camp, yet it made me ostentatiously post this thank you message. In the eyes of the bystanders, this is just my way of finding a pathetic exit to save face. All I received were scoffs and sarcasm before I could even log off the site. Right below, someone jumped in with a mocking comment. Looks like the top spot in the grade is about to change hands. Let's give a round of applause. Always acting so cold to everyone. Thinking he's so high and mighty. Got kicked out now, didn't you? Serves you right? Compared to Junior G, you're a world away from his level. My god, you've bewitched my goddess Gu for so many years. Finally, her eyes are open. You should have been gotten rid of a long time ago. My finger suddenly froze. My eyes lingered for a few seconds on the word bewitched. In the previous life, wasn't it Gubayu's crowd who were bewitched? Even with the truth right in front of them, they stubbornly refused to believe. Even cursed me for being black-hearted, saying I was intentionally framing Ji-Bok Xiao. Now, I won't go looking for that kind of trouble. I'll just wait and see how high each one of them will stand and what great achievements they will reach. That Ji-Bok Xiao they protect with all their hearts will eventually bring them some truly unforgettable experiences. Contrasting with the irony and curses flooding my page, Ji-Bok Xiao's side was truly in its golden age. Thanks to Professor Tang's announcement and the warm support and congratulations from the senior sisters. The comments below were all flowery praise and congratulations. Very rarely was there a jealous remark, but they were quickly drowned out by the massive wave of praise. As for those who cursed me, they almost completely vanished without a trace. Ji-Bok Xiao was in a state of high euphoria. He casually sent me a private message, but I didn't get to read it until late that night. After logging off the forum last night, I shut down my computer immediately and focused on reading. I've taken many notes, but there are still a few unresolved questions. I plan to find He Qiang later to ask for clarification. While grabbing my phone to head out, I stumbled upon the private message. I opened it to see Ji-Bok Xiao's note to me. Senior, don't worry too much about the gossip online. I believe that with your talent, you'll shine like a fish in water even if you change majors. Keep it up.
Hee hee.
That heavy green T-tone is exactly the same as ever. If you want to show off, just say it directly. Yet, he still has to put on an act with these fake words. I thought for a moment, then replied with a single word. Okay, I can't completely cut ties with Ji-Bok Xiao yet. Otherwise, how would I investigate his plagiarism? The more actively Ji-Bok Xiao prances around, the more chances I'll have to find his fatal flaw. I grabbed my backpack and headed to the library. To my surprise, He Qiang had already arrived quite early. As soon as we met, He Qiang handed me a large milk tea with full sugar. Drink up and don't be sad anymore once you do. Why should I be unhappy? I blinked, looking at him blankly. My expression was way too serious. So serious that He Qiang couldn't help but laugh out loud. He reached out and gave my head a light flick. This was the first time someone had been so affectionate with me. I suddenly felt a bit shy. My personality was originally somewhat cold. I rarely joked around in daily life, although some once said I looked very radiant. But Gu Baiyu's group often said I was very obedient. Perhaps in their eyes, my obedience was my greatest virtue, and the only reason they accepted associating with me. He Qiang pulled me over to find a seat. If you feel upset, just tell me, but only this once. From now on, you're not allowed to let nonsense on the internet make you sad anymore. But I'm really not sad. A wave of warmth suddenly flooded my heart. My nose felt a sudden sting. I know everyone is eagerly waiting to see me become a joke, but I'm certain my choice will never be a laughingstock. Senior, I don't have the time to be sad. He Qiang couldn't help but admire me secretly. 2 years ago when I first started gaining fame at school, Professor Tian's group had already set their eyes on me. They even secretly looked over my exam papers and the essays I had published. Back then, Professor Tian clicked her tongue in regret.
What a waste for such a good sprout to fall into Tang's hands.
So, the day she met me again at the hospital, Professor Tian didn't hesitate to recruit me to her side immediately. The events that followed were slightly unexpected. They weren't entirely surprising either. After all, since the plagiarism scandal broke on the campus network, Professor Tian specifically told He Qiang to pay more attention to me. Back then, He Qiang was still skeptical about who the real plagiarist was. But after getting to know and interacting with me, plus what has happened over the past 2 days, and the mixed public opinion on the forum, he has every reason to believe the plagiarism is real. It's just that Professor Tang, wanting to protect his reputation, used his power to secretly suppress the matter. He might have even turned around to blame the one who told the truth me. It's plain to see what horrific grievances I've had to endure in this whole affair. He Qiang's face was filled with sorrow. He reached out and patted my shoulder gently. You're absolutely right. Sorrow is only a sign of weakness. What we need to do now is use our strength to shut those people up. Come on, let me see. Which part don't you understand? Let the senior guide you. He Qiang is a very straightforward and generous person. His explanations were also extremely concise and easy to grasp. He didn't hide anything at all. He even brought along his notebook from his college years and gave it to me. Holding the notebook, its corners slightly worn by time, my emotions suddenly felt like they were about to burst. I thought living again, it'd long since been unburdened by emotions. That I could indifferently face all the world's joys and sorrows. After all, having tasted all sorts of bitterness and witnessed all the world's chaotic ways, this scarred heart was supposed to be as cold as ashes. But it turns out I was wrong. I can still be moved by the kindness of others and still want to believe in the goodness existing in this world. Besides, This is what I always craved but never had in my past life. I was originally an orphan. At 5 or 6, I lost everyone I held most dear. I had to live a lonely, precarious life in a small village. One house gave me a meal. Another gave me water to grow up on. No one truly loved or cared for me. Everyone just saw me as a burden of debt to the world. Everyone hoped I'd pack up and leave that village soon to be rid of the burden. My tuition was paid for by the pooled contributions of the whole village, so I never dared to slack off in my studies for even a second. I was only afraid that if I weren't gifted, people would hate me even more. So I could only study with all my might, studying day and night without rest, with only one thought to one day escape from that place. When I met Gubayu's group, I once mistook myself for the luckiest person in the world. That's why I cherished that friendship so deeply. I was always terrified that it'd negatively affect them, afraid that I wasn't good enough to be worthy of them. I strove with all my heart just to keep up with their footsteps, pouring all my effort into treating each of them as well as possible. It was almost as if, as long as they spoke, I would never say no. I thought if I just did as they said, maybe they would love me too, and treat me like family, because I truly regarded them as my own sisters. I longed so much for a family. But sometimes, sincerity doesn't necessarily beget sincerity. I stroked the worn edges of the notebook, my eyelashes trembling slightly. Appa, you're teaching me everything you know. Aren't you afraid? I'll surpass you. Then the professor will favor me more. Then you should hurry up and surpass me. Hurry and snatch the professor's favor. That way, some of the pressure on me will be shared. Haha, He-Chang Oppa patted my head.
You silly boy. We're a team.
The more outstanding you are, the less I have to worry. This is a good thing. I'm only afraid I won't teach you well enough and ruin your future. No, that's not it. My eyes welled up. You're a great teacher. It turns out people really are very different in this world. Not everyone is like those senior sisters of mine. In my past life, when Lu Xiaoyun helped me with major subjects, she only recommended a few books to me. There were notes scribbled in the books, and I was so moved that my mind almost went blank, making me nearly accept her confession. After that, I spent day and night helping her look up materials, going to lectures outside my own major, filling notebook after notebook with notes, just to help her prepare for the grad school entrance exam. Thinking back now, back then Lu Xiaoyun only gave me the books, and not her original notebooks. Wasn't she also being wary of me? And for several years after that, she would bring this up at every opportunity, reminding me over and over again that every achievement I had was thanks to her help. I had to be grateful, but clearly for that help. I had long ago repaid it several, even dozens of times over. I never owed them anything. Leaving the library at noon, I wanted to treat He-Chiang Oppa to lunch. Forget it. Keep your money for yourself. I'm eating at home. He-Chiang Oppa waved me off. I have fewer classes now. So if there's anything you don't understand, just ask. If there's no time to meet in person, you can just text me. If I don't reply, just look for Mu Wanqing. Regarding professional matters, She's a much better student than I am. Don't be fooled by her cold expression every day. She's actually very kind. You'll see after spending more time with her. I agreed, nodding repeatedly, as obedient as a puppy that just found a home.
Wow. Why are you so well behaved?
You know, being too good makes it easy for people to bully you. He-Chiang Oppa tapped my head once more. You should be a bit more cold. It'll make you look really cool. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, I'll do as you say. I told you not to be too obedient. He-Chiang Oppa waved at me. I'm really leaving now. You go get some lunch too. I chased after him for a few steps. Oppa does our team plan to participate in the school's medical innovation competition. Previously, only Mu Wanqing and I were full-time students in the team, so we weren't eligible to compete. Now that we have you, we can register if you want to join. He-Chiang Oppa smiled. Just speak up if you have any ideas. Mu Wanqing and I will help you. I really want to participate, but I haven't thought of a breakthrough idea yet. I pursed my lips. Let me think about it more. He-Chiang Oppa pulled out his phone. No need to think. Let's register first. As for ideas, let Mu Wanqing handle it. She has many schemes up her sleeve. While talking, he finished the registration on his phone. He also created a 4-person group chat besides Mu Wanqing. Professor Tian was also in it. Just as the group was created, he immediately sent the competition registration notice to the group. I was amazed by his charismatic and decisive working style, but at the same time, I felt incredibly happy. I had only just mentioned wanting to participate, and He-Chiang Oppa registered us without a second thought, no matter what the outcome. This support alone was enough to move me. Thank you, Oppa. I'll try my best to come up with an idea. I won't let our team lose face. He-Chiang Oppa chuckled. Mu Wanqing and I are counting on you to carry the team. With that, he really left. But my heart couldn't settle down for a long time. I knew perfectly well that He-Chiang Oppa was just joking. I had just changed my major. I was starting everything from scratch. So how could I possibly carry them? It was already great that He-Chiang Oppa didn't look down on me, and yet he kept encouraging me. The kindness He-Chiang Oppa showed me was something I had never once felt in all the years spent with those 5 senior sisters. I truly felt lucky to have left Professor Tang's team and chosen this neglected acupuncture department. I turned to walk toward the cafeteria. The newly created group chat suddenly pinged with a notification. It was Mu Wanqing speaking up. Whose idea is this? I replied, mine. I want to join the competition. Is that okay? Do you have a direction yet? Mu Wanqing replied instantly. I narrowed my eyes. An idea had just flashed through my mind. It was a major advancement in the field of traditional medicine research from a few years later in my past life. It was also during that previous consultation that I suddenly had this thought, but I didn't know if with the team's current strength, this idea was feasible or not. That was also why when He Chiang Appa asked, I didn't say anything. After a bit of hesitation, I sent my idea into the group chat. Application of acupuncture techniques in clinical surgery. The group fell silent for a moment, just as I was hesitating, wondering if I should say anything more. Someone bumped my shoulder lightly. The phone in my hand was snatched away.
What are you looking at?
Why so focused?
Fang Ruoruo leaned down to look at my phone. I snatched my phone back. Nothing.
Why are you here, Nuna?
This is the cafeteria. Of course, I'm here to eat. Come on. Let's eat together. The senior sisters ordered all the dishes you like. I paused. How did you all know HEDB here? GI Boxiao saw you walking toward the cafeteria, so he texted the group in advance. He said you didn't reply to his messages last night. He was afraid you were affected by the online rumors. So, he told us to comfort you properly. A cold smile flickered at the corner of my mouth. If what she meant was the private message on the forum, then I had already replied. I don't need him to worry, and I don't need your comfort. I brushed Fang Ruoro's hand off, having absolutely no intention of going with her. Fang Ruoro's brows furrowed deeply. Do you know everyone is very worried about you? Early this morning, we were all discussing how to coax you. But why are you acting like this? Do you want to take out all your frustration on us and treat us like enemies? I glanced at Fang Ruoro. Senior, after all the time we've spent together, what kind of person do you think I am? The word senior made Fang Ruoro freeze for a moment. It seemed like the old me had returned. You've always been obedient and sensible, and eager to learn. We all like you very much. Is that so? I glanced at her indifferently. I didn't expect you to understand me so well, Senior. Fang Ruoruo tried to pull my arm again. Of course I understand you. That's why I ordered all your favorite dishes. Hurry up or Senior Gu and the others will get impatient. I've already ordered a bowl of noodles. Do you want to eat? A figure suddenly appeared. Brushing Fang Ruoruo's hand aside, Mu Wanqing looked down at me. I reacted almost instinctively. Fang Ruoruo pushed Mu Wanqing aside. You, Mu. What do you think you're doing? Treating my junior to noodles. Are you deaf? Mu Wanqing said sarcastically. Fang Ruoruo stared wide-eyed as I picked up the large bowl of rib noodles, eating it with relish, completely ignoring the fact that she was still standing there. Furthermore, she realized that I didn't seem remorseful at all, let alone heartbroken or sad. Did he really not care about the online chatter? Had he truly decided to follow Professor Tian? Fang Ruoruo really wanted to step forward and ask why I had become like this.
Can't we be like before?
Happily calling us senior sisters.
Why did I have to become so polite and distant?
Even cold. Fang Ruoruo felt a bit angry, but as she stepped forward, Mu Wanqing blocked her. Do you know what respect is? I advise you not to interfere between us and Cheng Chuan. Our bond is not something you can compare to. Move aside. Mu Wanqing crossed her arms. Hez eating my noodles, so he has to listen to me. If you want to see him, you'll have to wait in line. Fang Ruoruo almost choked on her words. What kind of ridiculous reason was that? But she also knew very well that she couldn't drag me away today. I was no longer the obedient junior, who would appear at a moment's notice. Mu Wanqing sat down across from me, getting straight to the point. My eyes lit up. Does that mean everyone agreed? Check the group. Mu Wanqing raised an eyebrow slightly. Time is short. You only have 10 days. If you don't finish the innovation plan within 10 days, we won't be able to complete the subsequent steps. Understand? I nodded vigorously. I understand. I'll finish it. After that, I'll be counting on you, Senior Mu. I was incredibly excited. I started eating the noodles faster and almost choked. Mu Wanqing scolded me again, calling me a fool. This time she added a few more words. I have no intention of competing with you. No need to eat that fast. Hehe. I just want to get back and write the plan quickly. Senior, thank you so much for earlier. I'll transfer the money for the noodles to you later. Even if Mu Wanqing hadn't shown up, I wouldn't have gone with Fang Ruoruo, but it would have taken a lot more effort. Mu Wanqing's timely appearance had saved me a lot of trouble. After saying that, I picked up my bag and left, leaving Mu Wanqing to slam her chopsticks on the table in anger.
What an insolent brat.
And yet, Mu Wanqing recalled my attitude toward Fang Ruoruo just now, and her lips couldn't help but curl up slightly. Hez, quite interesting. Just as I left the cafeteria, I took out my phone to check the group messages. The message turned out to be from Professor Tian. It was just a few words. Okay, approved. In the cafeteria, Fang Ruoruo returned to her seat with a darkened face. Gu Baiyue glanced behind her.
Where's Cheng Chuan?
Hez not coming. Fang Ruoruo recalled what just happened, her expression full of rage. Mu Wanqing bought him a bowl of noodles, pork rib noodles even, and he ate it with such enjoyment. Liu Xiaoyun clicked her tongue, bribed by just a single bowl of noodles. That boy really has a great future ahead. Is it possible our entire feast here can't compare to Mu Wanqing's one bowl of noodles? Don't you all see it yet? Qin Yao curled her lip. Hez dead set on studying acupuncture. He really doesn't want to return to our team anymore. Shen Nianjia still found it hard to believe. Don't the words online have any effect on him at all. Everyone in this medical academy knows the difference between a popular major and a neglected one, yet he insists on going against the flow. He must be seriously delusional. Gu Baiyue also hadn't expected that this time I was for real. After her initial fury, an indescribable discomfort rose in her heart.
What's so good about that Mew girl?
Why did he join up with her? Senior.
Maybe you should go and coax him a bit. Cheng Chuan has always listened to you the most. If you go talk to him, he'll definitely come back. Fang Ruoruo looked at Gu Baiyue expectantly. Gu Baiyue wavered slightly, about to nod in agreement. This isn't good. Ji Boxiao cursed inwardly with rage. These fools, after pushing him this far, they still dreamed of convincing him to return. Although he thought it'd never return, he still didn't dare take the risk, because this was none other than the school's belle herself, Gu Baiyue. So many boys in the medical academy considered her a goddess. If she lowered herself to coax him,
What if Cheng Chuan softened and agreed?
he absolutely could not let that happen. Ji Boxiao tugged on Gu Baiyue's sleeve. Sister Baiyue, have you all ever thought? The matter is already public on the school forum. If you go and try to persuade him now, and Professor Tang finds out,
Where would his dignity be?
if the senior really wanted to come back, wouldn't Professor Tang's assessment become a laughingstock? People will say Professor Tang can't separate personal feelings from work. Qin Yao glanced at Ji Boxiao and nodded in agreement. In my view, if he insists on changing majors, then let's just leave him be. Fang Ruoro's face darkened. Cheng Chuan has been with us for years. Can you really bear to watch him spiral down? You've seen the gossip online. If he can't graduate smoothly, his whole life will be ruined. Enough! Gu Baiyue shouted. Fang Ruoro, things have reached this point. We must consider Professor Tang's reputation. He made the wrong choice himself, so he must accept the consequences. If you're truly worried about him, then just care for him more discreetly. Tell him if he faces any difficulties in the future, just come to us. Anything I can help with, I'm willing to assist him. Exactly. Qin Yao nodded. If he needs help, I'm also willing to help. The others all nodded in unison. This attitude of being ready to back Cheng Chuan up made Ji Boxiao grit his teeth in fury. He knew it would be like this. This retreat to advance move of Cheng Chuan finally worked. With the help of these 5 people, even if Cheng Chuan studied a worthless major, his career after graduation couldn't be bad. Ji Boxiao absolutely wouldn't allow these 5 to help me. They could only help him. Their knowledge, background, and future networks must all be used for his benefit, not for Cheng Chuan. In the afternoon, after sending the completed plan to the group, I went out for food. Just as I stepped out of the dormitory area, I saw Fang, Ruoruo, and Shen Yinjia approaching. They were carrying a bag of snacks and headed straight for me as soon as they saw me.
Cheng Chuan, Nuna misspoke at noon.
I'm sorry.
Fang Ruoruo started reflecting on herself as soon as she arrived. I warily took half a step back. Excessive kindness for no reason usually hides a hidden motive based on previous experience. Usually at times like this, Fang Ruoruo definitely wanted something from me. Shen Nianjia grinned and shoved the snack bag into my hands. This was personally picked out for you by Gu Baiyue and Ji Boxiao. Gu Baiyue Nuna said, in the future, if you have any issues or need our help, just let us know. Gu Baiyue Nuna was originally very angry with you, but luckily, Ji Boxiao talked her out of it. We really did misjudge him before. He truly doesn't have any ill will toward you. Did I ever say he had ill will toward me? I looked at Shen Yanjia with a half smile. Now that there's no conflict of interest, it's even more impossible for him to have ill will, right? Shen Nianjia felt I was speaking in riddles. But then she assumed she was overthinking it. Given my old personality, I shouldn't have been able to say such profound words. Anyway, let's leave it at that. Now that you've chosen the major you want, then just try to study hard. I hope you won't regret your choice. Shen Nianjia put on a condescending face. In her eyes, I was choosing a dead-end path with no value left. If Ji Boxiao hadn't asked her to accompany Fang Ruoruo, she would never have wanted to see me again. I looked at Shen Nianjia calmly, a faint flicker of hatred in my eyes. In my past life, it was her endless insults that drove me into depression. After I broke ties with the 5 senior sisters, Shen Nianjia was like a mad dog raised by Ji Boxiao, longing to tear at me whenever she could. She cursed me as shameless for daring to yearn for Gu Baiyue. After she became Ji Boxiao's wife, she even dug up the old diary entries of my youthful admiration for Gu Baiyu. That matter became a scandal known to everyone in the industry. She also spread rumors that in order to pay for college tuition, I had to work as a gigolo in a nightclub, that the reason I could study a popular major in college was by selling my own body. Because of those malicious rumors, my reputation was completely destroyed. I couldn't look anyone in the industry in the eye. And just like that, I sank deep into depression. My business seems to have nothing to do with you, I said coldly. Get lost. Don't ever look for me again from now on. Shen Nianjia let her hands drop, the snack bag falling to the ground. Stop acting so high and mighty. I know your family is poor. You usually never dare to buy snacks. This is the kindness of Gu Baiyue and Ji Boxiao. Just take it. With that, she turned and left. So unlucky. How could I stay with such a fool for so long? Cheng Chuan. Don't mind her. Fang Ruoruo Nuna bent down to pick up the snack bag. Her mouth has always been poisonous, but she's actually just worried about you. Afraid you'll have trouble finding a good job later. I tilted my head to look at Fang Ruoruo Nuna. If there's something, just say it straight. I was truly fed up with having to deal with them over and over again. In this life, I never want to hear another lie from their mouths. But thinking back, it's really laughable. In my past life, I always followed them like a shadow. Never a moment without hoping they would spare me a glance or say one more word to me. But in response, they only gave me disgust and impatience. Now that I've left the team, determined to stay away from them, here they are, actually starting to persuade me to return. Is human nature really so fickle? Do people only learn to cherish things once they're gone? But this is far from enough. All of this is only just the beginning. Returning to the 4th year of university, the first thing I did was to leave the top medical team that everyone yearned to join and switch to the acupuncture major, the most neglected in the department. However, the 5 talented senior sisters who once saw me as a thorn in their side were now crowding around as they saw me representing the new team in the competition. As the president, Gubayue Nuna blocked me from entering, reaching out to pull me back saying she wanted to talk privately. I avoided her hand, backing away a bit. I suddenly realized that all of them really loved having private talks with me. I didn't understand the reason before, but now I finally see through it. It's simply because those words of theirs for my own good were actually words that could never see the light of day. I looked at Gubayue Nuna with a mocking expression. Senior Gu, do you plan to abuse your position to block our team from participating in the competition? Chen Hao stepped forward. Cheng Chuan, why bother with her? Didn't you hear what Ji Nuna said? She has no right to do that.
We've already registered.
Let's go find a good spot to sit. Don't let it affect the meeting. I glanced indifferently at Gubayue Nuna. Senior Gu, please move out of my way. My indifferent and distant attitude made a sudden sense of panic rise in Gubayue Nuna's heart. Instinctively, she reached out her hand to hold me back. This was no longer her Cheng Chuan. Her Cheng Chuan had always been obedient and sensible. He used to follow her every word without question, and he would certainly never say such harsh words to her.
Sister Baiyue.
Ji Baxiao suddenly grabbed Gubayue's hand, the very hand that was about to reach out toward me. I know you're worried, Sister Baiyue. He hasn't even trained with his new teammates yet. You're afraid he'll be heartbroken when he doesn't get the results he wants. But a senior brother who's only obsessed with showing off might not truly appreciate your kindness. Why don't we just wait and see? I believe that once senior brother hits a wall and fails to get the results he expects, he'll definitely come crawling back to you, Sister Baiyue.
Your kindness.
At this moment, Gubayue's troubled and anxious heart was completely soothed by Ji Baxiao's words. Now, these are the words a sensible junior should say. Has nothing like that, Cheng Chuan. As soon as he left the team, he had the delusion of looking down on her. How outrageous. He has absolutely no respect left. She wanted to see for herself now that had left Professor Tang's team, Cheng Chuan. What could he possibly achieve in that cold, neglected specialty? And he actually dreams of using a competition to prove himself.
What a total daydream.
You're right.
Since he won't listen to advice, then I don't mind helping him face the cruel reality a bit sooner, so he can learn that once he leaves our side. He's actually absolutely nothing. Sinister smile curled at the corners of Gubayue's mouth. That smile was so cold that Ji Baxiao thought he was seeing things.
Sister Baiyue.
All right, take these documents and go back to your seat. Listen carefully to the rules. We must stun everyone, understood? Ji Baxiao gave a slightly forced smirk. I understand.
Sister Baiyue.
Rant the creative breakthroughs supposed to be handled by the seniors.
Why is all this weight falling on my shoulders?
Ji Baxiao felt more than a little annoyed. But I've heard Mu Wanqing is quite capable. She almost made it onto Professor Tang's team back then. Since moving to Professor Tian's team, she has achieved quite a bit. Now that she's on the same team as senior brother, could they have already prepared their innovation for the competition? Maybe they just hadn't registered because they were short-staffed. Gu Baiyue let out a contemptuous snort. She's just someone who already lost to me. Is she really worth your fear?
What's wrong?
Are you really afraid I'll dump all the creative work on you? On you, Gu Baiyue glanced at him. Her eyes couldn't hide her disdain.
Junior.
The seniors on this team aren't just here for show. If we could prop up a top-ranked student like Cheng Chuan, then naturally, we'll help you reap the rewards as well. As long as you're obedient enough, you'll have more certificates and awards than you can carry. Ji Baxiao's face lit up with joy. Thank you, Sister Baiyue. But regarding the innovation, in Ji Baxiao's heart, another scheme was already brewing. After that exchange with Gu Baiyue, I felt incredibly lighthearted. I turned to finish the registration with Chen Hao and left immediately, completely unaware of what Gu Baiyue and Ji Baxiao were discussing. As soon as the meeting ended, I immediately sent the recording to our group chat. Responses came in almost instantly. Little Cheng Chuan, you even prepared a recording. You worked hard at the meeting today. Wait until I get back. I'll treat you to a great meal. He Chiang was the first to send a voice message. Thank you, senior brother. It was my duty. It wasn't a problem at all, I typed in response. Shortly after, Mu Wanqing also sent a message regarding your innovation idea from last time. I've added a few more details to it. I've already sent it to your inbox. Have a look and see if we can integrate these new parts into the project plan. Another line followed that message. If it doesn't work, don't force it. Wait until we return next week. Then we'll discuss the implementation together. Understood. I put my phone away. The corners of my mouth curled into a slight smile. What are you thinking about?
Why such a big smile?
On the way back to the dorm, Chen Hao saw me staring at my phone with a silly grin, so he gave me a nudge. I showed him my phone. Everyone in the group is praising me, and we're discussing the innovation project. I'm just really happy. You're smiling this much just from a little praise. Chen Hao's expression suddenly softened. Just how long has it been since anyone complimented you? You've clearly always been outstanding. There is really no justice in this world. I flashed a bright smile, but I have it now. I'm truly happy. It's good that you're happy. You deserve to be happy. Let's go. Let's go. Let's head back. We have to tell Dong Zhuo all the details about seeing Gu Baiyue, so he can stay on guard too. The two of them returned to the dorm. Chen Hao grabbed Dong Zhuo to recount what happened, while I opened my laptop and logged into my personal email. I quickly found the email Mu Wanqing had sent. It turned out they wanted to integrate nanorobots into acupuncture techniques, using a mechanical form to replace traditional manual acupuncture methods. Nowadays, nanorobots are being widely applied in the medical field. If acupuncture could be mechanized, it would truly be a groundbreaking innovation. My eyes lit up. Suddenly, I knew exactly how to write this proposal. At the same time, Gu Baiyue and Ji Baxiao had also returned to the lab where their teammates were working. As soon as they entered, Fang Ruoruo hurried over to meet them. I just saw Cheng Chuan's name on the competition participant list. Did you two run into him? Senior, did you talk some sense into him? Did he agree to help me? Fang Ruoruo looked at Gu Baiyue with anticipation. In her eyes, as long as Gu Baiyue spoke up, there was absolutely no way I could refuse. Gu Baiyue's expression darkened, and she didn't want to answer at all. Didn't I tell you already? He's no longer a member of our team. I told you to stop pinning your hopes on him.
Why haven't you given up yet?
Do you really want me to tell Professor Tang that you lack competence? No, not that, Senior. Please don't mention this to Professor Tang. I'll stop looking for Cheng Chuan. Okay? Fang Ruoruo turned pale with fright. She didn't understand why Gu Baiyue was so furious. After Gu Baiyue walked away, Fang Ruoruo muttered resentfully. He clearly promised he would help me, even if he want help. Why turn around and snap at me? Ji Baxiao curled his lip and tugged on Fang Ruoruo's sleeve. Senior, don't blame Sister Baiyue. She really did try to advise Senior Brother, but not only did he refuse to listen, he said a lot of very nasty things. No way! Fang Ruoruo's instinct told her not to believe it. Cheng Chuan might be harsh to anyone else, but he could never speak that way to Gu Baiyue. He always obeyed her more than anyone else. Ji Baxiao's expression became complicated, looking deeply troubled. Hez changed. If you don't believe me, go ask him yourself. But I suggest you don't get your hopes up. Hez truly a different person now. Even the way he dresses is different. Anyway, I won't talk about this with you anymore. If you want to go find him, go ahead. It would be great if you could persuade him. Now I have to go deal with the innovation for the contest. With that, he headed upstairs. G.I. Baxiao returned to his desk. In this place, besides the lab area, every team member had an independent computer and workspace. He looked around stealthily, and seeing that no one was paying attention to him, he dared to click onto a certain website. When he clearly saw the content of the internal message, his face lit up instantly. He hurriedly copied the entire content into a document on his computer screen. After some editing and trimming, G.E. Baxiao stood up abruptly and rushed straight to Gu Baiyue's private office. Sister Baiyue, I've come up with an innovation point. At first, Gu Baiyue didn't care much. What is it? Applying nanorobots to cellular pathology surgery. Ji Baxiao looked smug, thinking to himself that no one would ever expect this idea. Gu Baiyue's eyes clearly brightened. This idea is actually fantastic. Go back and think it over thoroughly, then write a complete proposal for me. Don't force it too much. Post this innovation point to the team's group chat, so everyone can participate in writing the plan. Ji Baxiao replied cheerfully, yes, ma'am. However, as he walked out of Gu Baiyue's office, a sinister gleam flickered in his eyes.
Just what is that Cheng Chuan's brain made of?
He just joined that cold-dying team over there, and already came up with such a brilliant innovation, but cold remains cold. He just needed to tweak Cheng Chuan's idea slightly, then add some trending elements from his own side, and he could crush him without any obstacles. Ji Baxiao smirked wickedly.
Oh, Cheng Chuan.
I really have to thank you. He could already imagine the scene of standing on the award podium and how priceless my expression would be then. G.E. Baxiao went back to his seat, intending to log back into that website. A creative idea alone wasn't enough. The next steps of implementation were equally important. But before he could open the site, Qin Yao walked in from outside. Little Junior, can you do your senior a favor? Go ahead, what is it? I want to buy some reference books, but I'm short on cash. Could you lend me some? Qin Yao thought she'd test Ji Baxiao's attitude first. If he was easygoing, she could borrow more next time. Ji Baxiao chuckled. I thought it was something serious.
What books? I'll just buy them for you.
No, just lending me some money is fine. Qin Yao was overjoyed internally. She didn't expect Ji Baxiao to be this generous. Not like Cheng Chuan. You borrow a little from him. He dares to keep evidence of it. Ji Baxiao pulled out his phone. I'll transfer 500 yuan to you. That's definitely not enough, right? I heard Sister Baiyue say. Original professional materials cost several thousand yuan a set. How many sets do you need? Tell you what, I'll send you 20,000 for now. Just let me know if you need more. Ge Boxiao was not short on money. His monthly allowance alone was tens of thousands of yuan. People like Qin Yao were best manipulated with money. Better yet, let her fall into unpayable debt, so that when he needed it later, Qin Yao would surely not mind ghostwriting his papers, or helping him prepare for exams. Ge Boxiao knew his own level well. To stay on Professor Tang's team, relying on his self-taught knowledge alone was not enough. He looked down and tapped a few times on his phone. And soon Qin Yao received a transfer notification. Qin Yao gulped. This junior seemed even easier to manipulate than Cheng Chuan. Did this mean she had found herself a new ATM? It was 20,000 yuan this time. How much would be reasonable to borrow next time? Looking at Ge Boxiao's innocent and kind face, he probably wouldn't even have the heart to ask for the money back, right?
Why did Cheng Chuan suddenly change like that?
If he were still like Ge Boxiao is now, wouldn't I have had over 100,000 more yuan by now? How utterly annoying. No, she still had to get that other money back no matter what. Qin Yao was truly unwilling to let it go. Give me back my money. She pressed the receive button on her phone. Then looked up at Ge Boxiao. I heard you two ran into Cheng Chuan at the kickoff ceremony. Did Bai Yue give him any advice? How was his attitude? Don't even mention it. Ge Boxiao sighed and glanced at Qin Yao. Sister Bai Yue was afraid he'd embarrass himself in the contest, so she advised him not to participate. Not only did he refuse to listen, but he also thought Sister Bai Yue was trying to harm him. He insisted on participating in this competition no matter what. Sister Bai Yue thinks it might be good for him to join, just to teach him a lesson. Ge Boxiao carefully observed Qin Yao's expression. Seeing her frown, he thought she was worried about me and afraid she might secretly help me. So he quickly said, "Senior, Sister Bai Yue is truly angry this time. She said Cheng Chuan needs to suffer a bit, so he'll learn to appreciate everyone's past kindness. So you absolutely must not soften up and help him."
Why on earth would I help him?
Qin Yao thought to herself that she only wished for me to be as miserable as possible. Only then would she have a chance to demand that money back. However, if Cheng Chuan wouldn't even listen to Gu Baiyue, then he probably really intended to cut ties with them. If she pushed too hard, would he expose the fact that she borrowed money? After all, he still had the evidence in his hands. It seemed she needed to find a way to wipe out that evidence. Ge Boxiao, seeing that he had achieved his goal, didn't say anything more. Qin Yao, having received the money, naturally became even quieter. Both of them set to work with their own hidden agendas. I was busy writing the new proposal. When I finished, I realized the dorm was empty. After throwing the new plan into the group chat, I planned to go get something to eat. Picking up my phone, I saw a new message in the dorm group. It was a message from Chen Hao. Held back for a meeting with the professor tonight. No time to go to the cafeteria. Could some kind soul buy me a chicken leg rice set? I'm still at the hospital. Not sure what time I'll be back. Try asking Dong Zhuo and Cheng Chuan. I glanced at the time. The message had been sent an hour ago. My face filled with guilt. I didn't understand why I hadn't heard the notification. Looking closely, I discovered ID set the group to silent. I remembered that our dorm group used to be very lively. Later, when I joined Professor Tang's team, notifications kept ringing incessantly. Professor Tang had once scolded me in front of everyone, ordering me to keep my phone silent whenever I entered the lab. Then, because the phone was silent, I missed a call from Gu Baiyue and got scolded yet again as a result. In the end, I had to mute several important group chats. That's why my relationship with my roommates grew colder, and this group fell into silence. Seeing these messages now, I was truly moved. The warmth that had long been lost seemed to be returning. I had just turned off silent mode when Dong Zhuo's message appeared. "I'll buy it for you. I'll bring a set for Cheng Chuan too." Guessing he's still busy writing his proposal and hasn't seen the messages yet. I bet he hasn't eaten a thing. A slight smile played on my lips, and my fingers flew across the screen. I was indeed writing the plan. Just finished and saw your messages. Sorry to trouble you, Brother Dong.
Waiting for your delivery here?
After being busy for a bit longer, I planned to go wash up in the bathroom. I had just changed into pajamas and stepped out. When the dorm door swung open, Dong Zhuo walked in, hungry, right? "Come eat."
Zhang He and Haozi are almost here too.
I stepped forward to take the food from him. Aren't they supposed to be in meetings and overtime? Haozi said the professor over there suddenly found a conscience and ended the meeting early. And Zhang He apparently swapped shifts with someone. Anyway, don't worry about it.
Just come eat first.
I moved a table to the center of the room and neatly set out the food and soup. Then I'll wait for everyone to get back so we can eat together. Sure, I'll go take a shower first. I have something to tell you later. Dong Zhuo grabbed his clothes and went into the bathroom. Just after he went in, Zhang He and Chen Hao walked in. We brothers sat around, nibbling on skewers and chatting about everything. Have you guys heard any news about what's happening at school lately? Chen Hao and I looked at each other in confusion. No, is something big going on?
Isn't it just about the competition?
Not the competition. Zhang, he shook his head. I heard some things at the hospital today. It seems someone important just passed away. A lot of doctors at the hospital took leave, and even many lecturers at our school are absent. At that moment, I suddenly remembered something. In my past life, around this time, a legendary master of Eastern medicine had passed away. I wondered if the person Zhang He mentioned was him. I recalled that Professor Tang had personally attended the funeral back then. If something Something so big really happened. The news must be reporting it by now. Chen Hao took out his phone. Everyone, check if it's this news. A news piece was trending at the top. Successor of a renowned national Eastern medicine family. The famous Eastern medicine master, Tian Hai, passed away at 3 p.m. today. That name sounds so familiar. I clicked to read the news and quickly saw a photo of Tian Hai. I know this man. He was Professor Tang's mentor. He wasn't just a mentor.
To Professor Tang,
Dong Zhuo stepped out of the bathroom. I was going to tell you this after my shower, but it seems you've already found out. But I still want to tell you this. Elder Tian is Professor Tian's father and Mu Wangqing's grandfather. His wife, Tian Rongmin, was once the vice president of our university. She was also Professor Tang's supervisor in cytology. One could say Professor Tang's success today couldn't have happened without Professor Tian's family, and especially not without the support of the Tian clan. I took a sharp breath in surprise, but everyone says Professor Tian and Professor Tang are sworn enemies. That happened much later. Dong Zhuo frowned. As for exactly what happened in between, I'm not entirely sure either. I just heard my family elders mention it once. It seems that Professor Tang had very deep ties with the Tian family in his youth. If it hadn't been for a sudden accident, he might very well have become a son-in-law of the Tian family.
Good heavens!
Could it be a case of love turning to hate between him and Professor Tian, which is why they became lifelong enemies?
Zhang. He looked at me with deep concern.
Little Cheng Chuan, why do I feel so worried about you? I shook my head. It's definitely not what you're thinking. I don't believe Professor Tian and Professor Tang ever had a romantic past. Although I haven't interacted much with Professor Tian, I can still sense that. Given Professor Tian's personality, she would never have been interested in someone like Professor Tang. So Mu Wanqing and He Qiang haven't been at school these past 2 days, because something major happened in Professor Tian's family, even though I've only just joined this team. I also want to go and pay my final respects to Elder Tian. Do you know where Elder Tian's funeral is being held? I want to go pay my respects. Dong Zhuo nodded. I do. I'm planning to go there tomorrow as well.
You can come with me.
The Dong family is an old and powerful clan in Shen City, with a foundation as solid as the Tian families. They can be considered part of the same elite circle, while families like the Ji and the Gu are also famous in that world. Compared to the Dong and Tian families, they were still a level below. Early the next morning, I chose a black outfit and set off with Dong Zhuo for the Tian residence. As we neared our destination, I got out of the car and stopped by a flower shop to buy a bouquet of gardenias. Once we arrive, I'll probably have to sit with the Dong family. Will you be okay on your own? Dong Zhuo turned to ask me. I nodded. It's fine. I won't stay long. I'll leave right after paying my respects. Don't worry about me. The Tian residence was vast. As soon as we stepped inside, Dong Zhuo and I parted ways. Elder Tian was a man of great prestige, so visitors from all walks of life came to mourn him. The courtyard and halls were packed with people. The main mourning hall was located in the center of the front courtyard. Everyone stood in a long line to take turns offering incense. I took a deep breath, clutching my flowers, and quietly joined the end of the line.
Why are you here?
A commanding voice boomed right in front of me. I looked up and saw Professor Tang. He frowned, glaring at me with a cold stare, appearing extremely displeased by my presence. I'm here to pay my respects to Elder Tian. I looked Professor Tang straight in the eye, neither arrogant nor submissive. In my past life, never dared to look him in the eye, always feeling that with my meager knowledge and achievements, I was unworthy of being Professor Tang's student. I used to be terrified of seeing disappointment in his eyes. But now, as I faced that gaze full of loathing, I no longer felt any disappointment at all. On the contrary, I felt a sense of relief, as if I had been set free. Who do you think you are? Coming here to mourn. Elder Tian doesn't need someone like you here to disgrace him. Get out of here right now. I suppressed the hatred and resentment rising within me, and quietly looked at Professor Tang with indifference. This is the Tian residence, Professor. It seems you have no right to say these things to me. Furthermore, I am now Professor Tian's student. I've come to pay my respects to my mentor's father. There doesn't seem to be anything shameful about that. Professor Tang didn't expect me to actually talk back, and with such an indifferent attitude, no less. He was both shocked and increasingly displeased with me. I knew long ago that you were up to no good. Usually, you dress in such miserable rags, acting all pitiful in front of your seniors, so they would cover for you and pamper you. Now you even dare to plot against the Tian family. Do you really think you're so clever? Do you think you can fool everyone? I'm warning you. Stop putting your twisted thoughts into these schemes. Spend a bit more time studying. Every single medical research project cannot succeed simply through manipulation. Is dressing poorly now my original sin? I was momentarily speechless. Moreover, when did I ever act pitiful before my seniors? And when have they ever pampered me? I took a deep breath, looking at Professor Tang with a meaningful expression. Then I wish your future research projects, Professor, every single topic a brilliant success, and may my seniors achieve even greater heights. In my past life, if it hadn't been for me, the research of those seniors would have hit a bottleneck long ago.
Where would their glorious successes have come from?
I'm not shrewd enough, nor do I know how to suck up and network. After entering society, while Gu Baiyu was busy inheriting the family business, Fang Ruoruo did everything to stay in Shenzhen. Qin Yao, burdened by debt, kept selling off her own research papers. Shen Nianjia schmoozed around to associate with the elite, and while Liu Xiaoyun drowned herself in alcohol, venting aimlessly. I was the only one locking myself in the lab day after day, devoted to experiments, overcoming one medical challenge after another. Yet, was Professor Tang blind to all of this? Or did he intentionally ignore it due to prejudice? Now he lectures me so self-righteously. What exactly is he thinking? Professor Tang saw that I had no intention of leaving. I even stepped into the back of the morning line. His aging face grew several shades darker. His gaze became increasingly gloomy. Cheng Chuan, you really are an ungrateful piece of work. This Tian family isn't a place where someone like you can climb the social ladder. Do you honestly think that by coming here once, the Tians will treat you like family? Do you think you'll graduate smoothly and achieve more than the members of my team? I seem to realize something. Professor Tang, could it be that you're afraid? Afraid that a former member who left your team, like me, will eventually become more outstanding than anyone on your team? Before Professor Tang could respond, Mu Wanqing stepped forward. Professor Tang, my family does not welcome you. My grandfather wouldn't want to see you either. Get out. I was so shocked my eyes widened. I glanced at Professor Tang's face without restraint, over and over again, as if silently saying, see, the unwelcome one is you, not me. Professor Tang was so angry he was trembling. Since when does a mere child decide the Tian family's affairs? I've come to pay my respects to my great mentor. I don't need anyone's welcome. Mu Wanqing raised her hand. Then it seems I have no choice but to have you escorted out. At Mu Wanqing's gesture, two men in black moved toward him. Professor Tang's aging face was filled with embarrassment. Though years ago he had indeed betrayed the Tians, for years he hadn't dared to show his face here. But today he came in person to pay his respects. Regardless, he shouldn't be driven away like this. The old master of the Tian family is gone. Tian Zhenyi can't handle the big picture. Mu Wanqing chose a thankless major. This Tian family is likely on its last legs. This brat actually dared to humiliate him. Just you wait. Sooner or later, it'll teach her a lesson. Don't bother worrying about it. I'm leaving. I only hope that for this action, when you meet your grandfather again, he won't punish you. Professor Tang gnashed his teeth, glaring at Mu Wanqing. This wretched old man has such a wicked heart. Isn't he wishing Mu Wanqing a premature death? I curled my lip in disdain. Whether he punishes her or not, Professor Tang should know first. Though I wonder if Professor Tang will have the fortune to reunite with the old master down there. I'm afraid you won't see him, I said, while pointing to the sky, and then to the ground. Saying this to my former professor was truly quite rebellious, but Mu Wanqing felt incredibly satisfied, daring to openly curse his teacher to hell. Only Cheng Chuan would dare do that. Professor Tang was so livid, he raised his hand to strike. But just then, the Tian family guards arrived. Professor Tang took a deep breath, suppressing the rage in his heart. I won't lower myself to deal with you children. Elder Tian's memorial service is very solemn. Cheng Chuan, you'd better watch your back. Watching Professor Tang's back as he stormed out, I turned to Mu Wanqing. What did he mean just now? Was he trying to drive a wedge, saying I disrespect Elder Tian? Don't mind him. It'll take you to see my mother. The mother Mu Wanqing mentioned was Professor Tian. Until yesterday, I had no idea about this relationship. I shook my head. No, it's all right. I came to pay respects to Elder Tian out of simple reverence. I don't want to bother anyone. Mu Wanqing looked down at me. The first time she met me, she noticed I might be malnourished. Not just excessively thin, but my face was as pale as paper. Always trailing behind Professor Tang's students. Always looking timid and fearful. She truly didn't expect that someone as shy as a rabbit would have the courage to leave Professor Tang's team and then choose a major no one cares about and even dare to shout at people. And what's more, doing it for her sake. That appearance was both cool and adorable. It made it hard for anyone not to be drawn in. Mu Wanqing's mood was truly not good. Her grandfather's passing cast a gray shroud over the Tian clan. Now she seemed to feel a bit lighter. Mu Wanqing gently patted my head. See you later then? With that, she left immediately, leaving me before I could grasp her meaning, until I entered the main hall. It was my turn to perform the morning ritual. After expressing my sorrow for the deceased, I turned my head and saw Mu Wanqing standing among the family to return the respects. Meeting her gaze, which couldn't hide its sadness, I felt I should say something, but I just pursed my lips. Only managing 2 words, Nuna. I know. Thank you. Mu Wanqing seemed to understand my feelings well. She gave my shoulder a few pats. Professor Tian, standing beside her, also glanced at me. Good boy, thank you for coming. On the way back, my heart was heavy with sadness, a sadness I had never felt before. I grew up on the charity of the whole village, but it wasn't the warm village child story people imagine. No one in the village liked me. They said my mother abandoned me right after birth. Luckily, the village chief was a kind man, thinking that I was a human life after all. He mandated that every household take turns feeding me for a day. The villagers were all dirt poor. Even though I didn't eat much, no one was truly willing to raise me. I only got to go to school by threatening my own life, begging the chief until he finally relented. The price was working for the villagers to earn tuition. Laundry, cooking, raising pigs, herding cows. There was nothing I hadn't done. Since childhood, I had never felt love from anyone, so I couldn't understand the pain of losing a loved one. But for some reason, when I saw Mu Wanqing's usually cold eyes, Filled with such sorrow, I felt the tightness in my chest incredibly stifling. I clutched my chest and boarded the bus back to the city. By the time I returned to the dorm in the afternoon, Chen Hao looked at me with worried eyes. "What's wrong with you?" "I'm not really sure." Seeing Mu Wongking's expression just made me feel sad. I lightly rubbed my chest. Chen Hao seemed to understand. I knew it. Our Cheng Chuan has the kindest heart in the world. You simply can't stand seeing others suffer. That's not it. I shook my head in denial. I'm extremely ruthless toward Gubai crowd, the type that will absolutely never forgive. Chen Hao reached out and pinched my cheek. Of course you're ruthless to those who treated you poorly. I have to head to class in a bit. Don't just lock yourself in here alone. Go out for a walk to clear your head. I'm heading to class now. Chen Hao slung on his backpack and walked out. Just after he left, my eyes accidentally caught a forgotten toy under the desk. It was a wooden puzzle model, a rabbit. Once assembled. I was born in the year of the rabbit. This was the birthday gift Fang Ruoruo gave me years ago. I used to cherish this little rabbit. Seeing it now, it's just an eyesore. I picked it up from under the desk and walked out of the dorm room. Right by the dorm entrance was a large trash bin. The bin often held fresh bouquets of flowers or giant teddy bears, relics of failed confessions by male students. I looked down at the rabbit in my hand and suddenly laughed bitterly. After years of being together, those seniors who always called me their little brother, yet it seems they never gave me a gift worth more than 100 yuan. Mastered the art of the thought that counts, taking that philosophy to an extreme. Yet on their birthdays, they'd handpick expensive items and tell me to buy exactly those, using the flowery excuse of saving my brain power. So I wouldn't have to stress over what to get. Looking back now, the cheapest gift I ever gave them was worth at least 300 yuan. I was clearly the poorest among them, wearing the same clothes until they were frayed, only daring to eat the cheapest meals, never replacing anything unless it was broken beyond use. And yet they seemed not to notice at all, still bullying me as usual, still demanding whatever they wanted without a care. And all they ever gave me was the hollow title of Professor Tang's student, only for them to, in the end, strip me of even that title with their own hands. I stood frozen before the trash bin and tossed the rabbit into the garbage heap. But ironically, just as I turned around, I saw Fang Ruoruo standing there, staring at me in shock. Fang Ruoruo looked at me, then glanced at the trash bin, seemingly unable to believe her eyes.
"What did you just throw away?"
I looked at Fang Ruoruo's agonized face and found it absolutely ridiculous. A puzzle rabbit only fit for a 3-year-old. Student Fang, do you really think it's something valuable?
Cheng Chuan.
Fang Ruoruo pointed right at my face. Her eyes looked ready to catch fire. How could you become like this? It's not about the money. It's the heart I put into it for you. Facing her crazed, screaming interrogation, to be honest, I didn't want to care at all. Because I understand very well that cold silence without explanation is the heaviest blow to their pride. But seeing the curious crowd gathering, I thought I should clarify a few things compared to that toy you casually bought, which cost less than 10 yuan. Buy you that latest model handbag. As a birthday gift, I had to give up meat for months, struggling just to save enough to get it. Yet you complained I chose the wrong color, humiliating me in front of everyone. You said you assembled this puzzle yourself and painted it yourself, that you poured so much time and effort into it. But compare that to this. Exactly. How long did I have to go hungry? How is my time and effort any less than yours? Besides, once given to me, it belongs to me. If I throw it away now, that's my business.
What right do you have to stand here screaming?
My gaze was as cold as ice, absolutely devoid of any affection. The surrounding students began to whisper among themselves. No wonder student Cheng left so decisively this time. Turns out he was being bullied by his team. Didn't they say Fang Ruoruo was closest to Cheng Chuan? Looking at it now, it was all fake. This senior Fang is quite the actress, trading a cheap toy for a 1,000 yuan bag. Truly pathetic. In front of the men's dorm, most were male students. Everyone felt a deep sense of empathy for me. In an instant, Fang Ruoruo was scolded into worthlessness. Fang Ruoruo was about to explode with indignation. Shut up, all of you.
What do you know?
We never bullied him. We all cared about him deeply. As our junior, after all, achieving what he has today. My achievements today are thanks to my own skills, even if things aren't ideal right now. I'm not clinging to that team anymore. I coldly cut her off. Student Fang, I suggest you think twice before you speak, lest you tarnish Professor Tang's reputation. Fang Ruoruo's face turned pale. She suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. She truly was blinded by rage, daring to claim that my past accomplishments were all thanks to their guidance. Even if people assumed that without their coaching, without Professor Tang's strict teaching, I could never have stayed at the top of the class, nor won so many professional awards. But if those words were spoken, the story would change. Because in the end, I was the only male student from a poor rural area on the team. If not for my pale, thin appearance, I fear malicious rumors would have spread long ago. Then everyone would start to doubt fairness of Professor Tang's talent selection, Fang Ruoruo felt an endless tremor of fear. But I had already clenched my fists in fury. In my past life, rumors like these destroyed me. Everyone called me a shameless person. Those insults nearly drove me to the edge. Yet, whether it was Professor Tang or my 5 kind seniors, not a single one stood up to speak a word of justice for me. They just watched as the world insulted and smeared me, till no hospital would ever dare hire me again. And now Fang Ruoruo can talk so recklessly, wanting to revive that old tragedy once more. Had she never thought about it? Just one casual remark from her is enough to ruin my life. What right does she have to say my success belongs to them? If I weren't afraid of dirtying my hands, I'd really love to give her 2 slaps across the face. Fang Ruoruo knew things had reached this point. There was no way to salvage our relationship, but her giving that rabbit was indeed intentional, and my giving her the bag was entirely voluntary. She never forced me. She really didn't know that the bag money came from my own desperate savings. He did it voluntarily. It was all voluntary. He was never forced by anyone. Why should she bear everyone's wrath and contempt? Fang Ruoruo glanced at the disdainful eyes surrounding her. The hatred for me in her heart reached its peak. It seems Student G was right after all. You've changed. I never expected it. That one day you'd become so disgusting. Every word out of your mouth is about money. With that kind of mindset, how can you focus on research? No wonder you lost to Junior G this time.
No wonder Professor Tang chose to groom Junior G.
You brought this all on yourself. I let out a mocking laugh. Student Fang, is something wrong with your memory? My first round assessment score was top of the class. I only lost on the thesis part because Professor Tang didn't like my paper. I accept that. If Student Fang says I deserve it,
then so be it.
After saying that, I lost all patience to continue arguing with her. I decisively turned and walked away.
Cheng Chuan.
Remember your words today? You'd better never regret this.
He'll be watching
to see if someone changing majors in their 4th year. Like you can actually graduate smoothly. Ruoruo pushed through the crowd, leaving in a truly pathetic state. In a corner not far away, Qin Yao broke into a cold sweat. One must realize that. Usually Fang Ruoruo and she were the closest. Yet now, even Fang Ruoruo was humiliated by me like this. How could she have the guts to come find me? Qin Yao lightly patted her chest, suddenly feeling like she had just narrowly escaped death. It seems Cheng Chuan is not just someone you shouldn't provoke. On the contrary, one must find ways to please him, in case he suddenly snaps one day and exposes all the evidence of her debts.
What would she do then?
I returned to the dorm room, feeling unusually light and refreshed. However, compared to the suffering of my past life, this little matter is truly nothing. Just a bit of public embarrassment, and she already can't take it. Then what will she do later? Thinking of the karma Fang Ruoruo would face, a contemptuous smile tugged at the corner of my lips. If current Fang Ruoruo still has a shred of shame and self-respect left, there will certainly come a day when all her integrity and pride will be wiped out by Ji Baoxiao's dirty schemes. I turned on my computer, grabbed a book, and began to bury myself in study. But I had no idea that the Fang Ruoruo incident had been filmed and uploaded by someone with ill intent. The clip spread like wildfire on the school forum. Soon, countless people on the forum were gossiping. They said that to get into Professor Tang's team. I would stop at no despicable means, even groveling and sucking up to those seniors. Looking at the new posts, Ji Baoxiao wore a very triumphant smile. Once these rumors spread, he didn't believe I'd show my face at school again. Furthermore, he was confident that once it all broke, he could keep the professor and seniors out of it, while building an image of absolute integrity for them, that they are perfectly just and never play favorites. Just like that, his position on the team would be even more secure. Outsiders would stop whispering he joined just for his looks. It was entirely based on his own true ability. However, Ji Baoxiao's joy was short-lived. Professor Tang suddenly stormed in from outside, telling everyone to come back and meet him immediately. Gu Baiyue hurried out from the inner room. Shen Nianjia-gung looked behind her. Qin Yao, who had just returned, hurried to stand straight before Professor Tang. Ji Baoxiao was startled. He scrambled to his feet as well. Professor, have you seen the news online? Gu Baiyue approached with a tablet. Professor Tang snorted in cold fury. I've said it before. If he wants to leave, let him leave. You absolutely must not have anything to do with him. Do none of you have any brains?
Why does one after another keep provoking him?
Does Fang Ruoruo have too much free time or what? To go in front of him just to be humiliated like that, and then letting people film and post it online. If you want a bag, buy it with your own money. Why take things from a country boy? That money came from his starvation.
Where is your integrity?
Where is your pride? All of you, every single one, confess to me now. What items did he give you in the past? Gather them all and return them to him immediately. Whatever you owe him, pay it back in full. Professor Tang's rage was like an area of effect attack. Even Ji Baoxiao couldn't escape it. He was warned with a finger pointed at his nose. And you too, remember this well. I will never accept students with flawed character, no matter how excellent your professional scores are. Hold you in contempt and ignore you. Cheng Chuan's thesis wasn't inferior to yours. It was because of that incident where he smeared you. That made me believe he was morally corrupt. If I find out you're just like him, with a heart full of dirty schemes and calculations, then don't blame me for ignoring our bond. I'll kick you off the team immediately. Ji Baoxiao lowered his head.
Yes.
I understand, Professor. I'll never do anything that violates school regulations, or anything immoral or illegal. Where is Fang Ruoruo? Why hasn't she shown up yet? Call and urge her to get here right now. Professor Tang loosened his collar. Shen Nianjia quickly pulled out a chair for him. Professor Tang is someone who deeply prizes his honor and image. He will never allow anything to tarnish it. If anything happens that might damage his precious reputation. Back then, when he accepted me into the team, it was because he liked that I came from the countryside. Honest and dutiful, and my grades were at the very top. He thought a kid like that would surely be obedient and sensible, and wouldn't cause him any extra trouble. But more importantly, I was shy and quiet, only knowing how to bury my head in research. Even if my social skills weren't as good as Gu Baiyu's group, I was at least hardworking. With me around, the research lab was always spotless. Over the past few years, I've received many awards, both big and small. The prize money was also quite generous. Plus, the stipends he and the team gave me as support. Honestly, it shouldn't have been enough to make me live so frugally, unless the money in my hands was all sweet-talked away by these girls. Fang Ruorao's family is also from the countryside. She didn't have much money for living expenses, even though she had an assistant's stipend. After seeing the world, her greed grew. She wanted too many things, so it's no wonder she set her sights on Cheng Chuan. At the end of the day, Cheng Chuan was just being an idiot. This business of giving gifts, it's a mutual thing, a fair trade between two parties. How could he regret it later, and then make such a scene on social media? It's truly a total embarrassment. The anger in Professor Tang's heart grew stronger. He wished he could just beat that girl, Fang Ruoruo, to death. Luckily, not long after the call ended, Fang Ruoruo pushed the door open and walked in. Before she could even reach Professor Tang, he rushed forward and slapped her hard. So, you've learned how to scam people out of their money now.
Why did I ever take a student like you?
You're a disgrace to my entire teaching career. Professor, Gu Baiyue reached out to stop Professor Tang as he prepared to strike again. You can't fully blame Ruoruo for this. From what I see, it's still Cheng Chuan's fault. He gave those gifts voluntarily. No one forced him. Now Hez bringing this up only because Hez bitter about being kicked off the team. The others chimed in as well. Senior is absolutely right. If he were still on the team, how could he possibly put Ruoruo in such an awkward position? He'd probably be begging to give us gifts. Exactly. Shen Nianji added quickly. We saw that he was the youngest in the team, and the slowest learner, so we looked out for him in every way. We let him join our experiments, discussed academics with him, and answered all his questions. He was afraid we'd stop helping him, so he insisted on us taking those gifts. We only wanted to put his mind at ease, so we reluctantly accepted them. Who knew his schemes ran so deep? Now he's weaponizing them to make things difficult for us. Fang Ruoruo covered her face and sobbed loudly. She remembered the first time she took a gift from Cheng Chuan. It really was with that mindset, but later, even if she didn't want to admit it, the truth was she became greedy for the prize money Cheng Chuan had. Though she received almost as much as he did, her expenses were far greater, and she had to send money back home. She wasn't like Cheng Chuan, all alone with no one else to provide for. Besides, they were close. She had helped him plenty. So why couldn't he buy her a few nice things? She never thought there was anything wrong with it. After all, the things he gave her, even if they weren't worth that much money, he had put his heart into choosing them. That cold-hearted jerk. She truly hated Cheng Chuan to death now. Fang Ruoruo wiped her tears, looking at Professor Tang. Professor, I know I was wrong. Everything Cheng Chuan gave me, I will return it all to him. I'll never seek him out again. So sorry for embarrassing you, Professor. While Professor Tang was scolding Fang Ruoruo, G.I. Boxiao had already contacted his connections to wipe all the accusatory posts from the internet. Professor Tang, a man who values face above all, had wanted to smear Cheng Chuan to ruin him. It seemed that plan had failed.
Fine.
I'll let him off the hook for now. There will always be a chance to settle the score later. So, you actually know shame. Seems there's hope for you yet. He glared coldly at Fang Ruoruo. I know you and Cheng Chuan have always been close. Now that Hez left the team, your heart aches for him. That's why you wanted to convince him to come back? But how many times have I emphasized this? The most important quality in my students isn't academics. It's character. That boy looks honest on the outside, but Hez actually full of dirty schemes. Otherwise, how could he trick all 5 of you into protecting him like that? Now that Hez lost what he wanted, he's harboring a grudge. He wants to drag you all down with him. And yet you girls remain soft-hearted, even trying to win him back. See, you fell right into his trap. Remember this? Well, from now on, you are forbidden from seeing him. Fang Ruoruo kept her head low. Yes, I understand. And the rest of you, remember my words. Focus on preparing for the upcoming competition. Don't let your minds be troubled by that boy anymore. Professor Tang was cold. With a dark expression, he said, everyone dismissed. Professor Tang waved his hand, his face clearly showing exhaustion. The others looked at each other, bewildered and confused. They didn't expect something that started so intensely to end so abruptly like this. Especially Fang Ruoruo. She never imagined Professor Tang wouldn't punish her further. She reached up to touch her cheek. She felt that slap was a price well worth paying. Everyone left one by one. Professor Tang kept Gu Baiyue behind. What do you think about Cheng Chuan's situation? He clearly set a trap on purpose. To hurt Ruoruo, Gu Baiyue said through gritted teeth. Hez bitter about leaving the team, knowing that even if he returned, We'd never trust him again. He'd rather cause a scene to burn all bridges. Afraid people will say he was discarded. He's playing tricks to whitewash himself? Professor Tang shook his head. You're underestimating him. He doesn't need to whitewash himself. He just needs to find a backer more powerful than me. That's enough to make peers and teachers see him differently. But looking across this entire medical school, is there any professor who can surpass you? Yu Baiyue asked, puzzled. Professor Tang gave a faint, mocking smile. Behind Professor Tian is the Mu family. As long as that boy graduates smoothly, with his status as a dual degree major, want the hospitals in Shenzhen let him take his pick. Even in research institutes later, he'll be highly valued. Gu Baiyue shook her head. A dual degree isn't that easy to get. Besides, if Professor Tian were really that great,
why is she always one step behind you at this school?
You don't understand? Professor Tang sighed. If it weren't for my solid academic standing, do you think I could keep her suppressed in this school? She took Cheng Chuan imprecisely because she refuses to accept that fact. A flash of bitterness appeared on Professor Tang's face. I also underestimated Cheng Chuan. I didn't expect such deep schemes from one so young.
Cheng Chuan.
What else has he done? Gu Baiyu asked impatiently. Professor Tang lightly thumped his chest. I saw him at Elder Tian's funeral. He was standing right next to the Mu family's daughter. Has clearly already suckered the Mu family.
Mu Wanqing.
Gu Baiyu's voice dropped. Anger was written all over her face. She has always been against me. Her helping Cheng Chuan. It's just a way to use him to target me. Professor Tang nodded. It's good that you understand. I know you thought Cheng Chuan was always obedient, and you spoke up for him many times before me, but you see it now, don't you? Everything in the past was just an act. Don't waste any more energy on him from now on. I heard Hez signed up for the competition this time. Perhaps he got used to receiving awards alongside us and has become a bit too arrogant. Beating him isn't exactly a glorious feat, but I hope your project this time will surpass everyone else's.
Leave him in the dust.
Let him realize that the achievements he had before were the result of the team's effort, not his own. He thinks he can make it in that obscure major. Hez daydreaming. I understand, Professor. Gu Baiyue nodded. I will definitely teach him a lesson. It'll make him regret treating us this way. Gu Baiyue stepped out of Professor Tang's office with a grim look. Ji Baxiao hurriedly ran over. Sister Baiyue, is the professor okay? He looked so angry. Hez fine. Gu Baiyue glanced at Ji Baxiao. You saw the professor's attitude.
What you should do.
And shouldn't do. You must figure out for yourself. The lab is busy lately.
Work harder.
Do a little more. G.E. Boxio cursed inwardly. Why should he have to do the work of 5 or 6 people? Is everyone else dead? But on the surface, he still grinned. I know, Sister Baiyue. I promise. It'll be good. I won't cause trouble. With that, he turned and grabbed a broom to clean. Secretly, he planned to call Shen Nianji back later. He couldn't do all this work by himself. Seeing Ji Baxiao's obedient appearance, Gu Baiyue felt slightly more at ease. Why couldn't Cheng Chuan just stay obedient like this? Well then, it starts with this competition. Time to give him a lesson. He'll never forget. That evening, Dong Zhuo and the others rushed back to the dorm.
Cheng Chuan, are you okay?
I was a bit surprised. You guys already know? How could we not? It's all over the school forum. All those videos of you confronting Fang Ruoruo. In the middle of that crowd, I have to say, when you snapped, you looked incredibly cool. You're like a completely different person compared to before. Chen Hao was somewhat in disbelief.
When did Cheng Chuan's tongue become so sharp?
It's truly shocking. However, Dong Zhuo looked a bit worried. There are also a lot of people online doubting you. They're spreading rumors about you everywhere. I've been reading all afternoon. I didn't have time to go online.
What are they saying about me?
Is it that I only got onto Professor Tang's team? Not by my own merit, but because the seniors took pity on me. The others, upon hearing this, all nodded in unison. Did you already read the posts online? Dong Zhuo looked at me with concern. I shook my head. It's not that I saw any posts. It's just that I suddenly remembered things from my past life. In my past life, the rumors didn't explode until a few years later. Right. When I was about to graduate with my master's. By then, the seniors finally saw me in a different light. My master's thesis had even been recognized by Professor Tang. There was finally hope to change my internship evaluation. I didn't expect malicious rumors to break out online at that exact moment. It wasn't until years later that I found out that it was all orchestrated by Ji Baxiao. G.E. Baxiao was afraid I'd to regain everyone's recognition. He also feared I'd find a good job in Shenzhen, so he plotted to ruin me now that I've left the team and resolutely cut ties with the seniors. Yet Fang Ruoro's group just won't stop. They keep seeking me out over and over, knowing Ji Baxiao once has back. He'll likely use those viral videos to plot against me even earlier. His slandering me is no surprise.
What kind of posts are they?
Let me see. The others pulled out their phones and scrolled for a while. That's weird. Why can't I find them anymore? Not a single post is left. They've been completely wiped. Zhang, he handed his phone to me, but I have screenshots. I was too busy at the time. So I didn't have time to argue with them. I planned to give them a piece of my mind once I finished my work. Who knew they'd be gone by the time I checked back? Take a look. The usernames of the original posters are all here. I took it and examined the screen. With just one glance, they looked familiar.
Wait a second.
Let me show you some photos. I opened my phone and went to my photo album. These are the posts attacking Ji Boxiao from not long ago. It's the exact same people. Chen Hao gasped in surprise. These posters. These people, could they be the secret admirers of your seniors? Specifically targeting the male members of the team. Dong Zhuo nodded in agreement. I think that's possible. Your seniors are very famous in this school, and they're always winning awards. The number of guys who like them is probably countless. No, I know for a fact. The people causing a storm online during the last plagiarism incident were all personally hired by Ji Boxiao. If it's the same faces this time, it proves 100% that Ji Boxiao is behind this rumor mongering. Dong Zhuo had a realization. I get it now. So you tracked these posters the last time to investigate. That's why you have the screenshots. Since you know it's Ji Boxiao playing tricks, why don't you just expose him already? Professor Tang values reputation too much. If I expose this, it's like confirming Professor Tang's student, Ji Boxiao, is a plagiarist. Plagiarism is an immense disgrace to Professor Tang. I let out a faint, sarcastic smile. So even if I expose the truth, while Ji Boxiao might be in a bad spot, I would be the one Professor Tang completely discards. For me, it's just not worth the cost. Moreover, after being reborn, I had already planned to cut all ties with Professor Tang's group anyway, so there's no reason for me to help them clean up Ji Boxiao's mess. I'd rather they just stay tied together like that. Besides, I didn't actually investigate this as Dong Zhuo suggested. All of this is just a deduction based on what happened in my previous life. The reason I have the screenshots is simply to be prepared for the worst, fearing similar things might happen later. I made some preparations in advance. Furthermore, I still haven't cleared up that plagiarism case. I must investigate and find the truth first. Exactly how many people are behind Ji Boxiao and his group, helping them? Everyone took a sharp intake of breath. So, what's your plan now? You want to get revenge on Ji Boxiao? I shook my head. Petty revenge won't even scratch him. Unless I have something that ensures he can never rise again. But unfortunately, I don't have that yet. So we just let it go. Zhang. He couldn't contain his anger. I can't just swallow this bitterness. If anyone tried to set me up like that, I'd beat them until their own mother wouldn't recognize them.
Zhang He, a guy from the northeast,
was straightforward and very hot-tempered. He was someone who couldn't stand injustice. I pursed my lips and smiled. Does anyone here know a computer expert? Preferably a real pro. The others all shook their heads repeatedly.
We're in medical school?
I'm afraid in this entire school, you won't find many people skilled in computing. That's exactly what I'm worried about. I used to wonder, how on earth Ji Boxiao managed to plagiarize my thesis? After eliminating all other possibilities, only one scenario remains. An IT expert must have installed malware on my computer to steal all my documents. Especially after Today's forum incident, I'm even more certain of my deduction. Alright, let's leave it at that for now. Try to find another way. Dealing with someone like Ji Boxiao can't be rushed. Dong Zhuo grabbed my hand and said, whatever you want to do,
Well, help you unconditionally.
once you've thought it through, let us know. I smiled with deep satisfaction. I definitely won't forget you guys. On the other side, Gu Baiyue and her group began their party. Gu Baiyue organized this dinner to comfort Feng Ruoru. She enthusiastically invited everyone to sit down.
Order whatever you want.
Don't be polite. Today, it's my treat for everyone. Ji Boxiao stood still without moving. He turned to look at Feng Ruoru. Sister Ruoru, you've suffered so much today. Have some tea to calm down. Feng Ruoru's smile looked forced. It's fine. The professor didn't hit me that hard. Please don't hold a grudge against the professor. Deep down, he actually knows that this wasn't your fault. Now that Senior Cheng has just left the team, it's hard for the professor to keep teaching him. Ji Boxiao curled his lip in a pout. His face looked as though he felt it was so unfair for the professor and the seniors. Besides, I'm afraid Senior doesn't even care about the professor's teachings anymore. I feel so bad for you seniors. You're always trying to look out for him, yet Ji Boxiao let out a heavy sigh. Sorrow was etched across his face. I know I shouldn't say these things, but seeing you get scolded and hit because of him, and humiliated like that, it breaks my heart. Even if you think I'm targeting him, I still have to speak the truth. Please, for the sake of your own reputation, could you please never see Senior Cheng again? We shouldn't mess with that kind of person. At the very least, shouldn't we know to stay away? He looked at Gu Baiyue with pitiful eyes. The sisters looked at each other and said, what silly things are you saying? It's obvious Cheng Chuan has been targeting you all this time. You've always wanted to live in peace with him. It's just that he doesn't know what's good for him. How could we possibly blame you for saying this? Gu Baiyue looked at him with gentle eyes. Alright, don't be sad anymore. I believe Ruoruo has learned her lesson after this. She won't seek him out ever again. Fang Ruoruo downed a large gulp of water. Of course I'll never see someone like that again. A heartless animal like him should just be left to rot. Anyone who still cares about him is a dog. Qin Yao patted her shoulder to reassure her. If you want, then you want. No need for such harsh oaths. No need for such ultimate declarations. Now, focus on preparing well for the upcoming competition. After all, this creative idea was thought up by Junior G. We must execute the next steps perfectly. I heard you're also preparing for the graduate entrance exams. If we win the grand prize this time,
It'll definitely be a huge plus for your exams.
Gu Baiyue nodded in agreement. Qin Yao is right. We should devote all our minds to our studies. Starting from tomorrow, whoever is free, just head to the lab. Well, finalize our competition entry together. Hearing Gu Baiyue say that, Ji Boxiao let out a secret sigh of relief. It seems that for a while no one will even spare a glance at Cheng Chuan. The next goal is this competition. He must use this contest to crush Cheng Chuan under his feet, turn him into a laughingstock for all the teachers and students, make him regret everything he has done recently with bitter tears. By then, he'll be the one kneeling and begging to return to the team. Let's wait and see. He'll be able to torment and mold him however he wishes. He had just finished his meal happily. It was already past 9 p.m. Everyone in the group was slightly tipsy. They helped each other walk back to the campus. Fang Ruoruo looped her arm through Liu Xiaoyun's. Sister Xiaoyun, you absolutely must help me this time. Of course, I'll definitely help. Tell me, how do you want me to teach Cheng Chuan a lesson? Oh no. This has nothing to do with him. The senior already told us. Currently, we aren't supposed to touch him at all. Fang Ruoruo sighed softly. I'm talking about the graduate entrance exams.
Those study materials I compiled for you back then.
Could you let me borrow them back? There's just too much work lately. I really don't have time to make new ones. Liu Xiaoyun let out a small chuckle. I thought it was something serious. That's easy. No problem at all. I'll look for them tomorrow and give them to you, but I'm not sure if I even kept them. Fang Ruoruo's heart suddenly tightened. In this team, Liu Xiaoyun had never really respected her because it was Cheng Chuan who brought her onto the team in the first place. Later, when her skills and knowledge improved to almost match Qin Yao, Liu Xiaoyun's attitude toward her only slightly improved. Now that Cheng Chuan was gone, she had just been publicly humiliated by him in front of everyone. If she remembered correctly, not long after I first joined the team, Liu Xiaoyun had actually tried to pursue me. Though Liu Xiaoyun said she didn't care about me anymore, who really knows? Would she use this as an excuse to intentionally make things hard for her? Fang Ruoruo suddenly felt a shiver, breaking out in a cold sweat. Half of her drunkenness vanished instantly. And please try your best to find them for me. I'm counting on you, Sister Xiaoyun. In reality, Liu Xiaoyun had already gently pried her hand off. The materials I gave you, you might not even be able to use them anymore. After all, those were study materials from a year ago. From what I know, the postgraduate exam content at medical university changes every year. Instead of putting your hopes in my old materials, you'd be better off begging that junior of yours. Ask him to compile a new version for you. Hez, currently the professor's favorite. He even came up with that medical innovation idea this time. It's clear Hez even more brilliant than I am. The materials he compiles will surely be just as good as the ones I gave you before.
That's right. Why didn't I think of that?
Fang Ruoruo's eyes lit up. Then I'll ask Junior G tomorrow. But he just joined the team, and I'm already asking for favors. Do you think it's okay? Why wouldn't it be? Liu Xiaoyun showed a face of disdain and said, you used to ask Cheng Chuan to do plenty of things. How come you weren't shy back then? Fang Ruoruo's lips twitched, and she didn't say another word. They each went to bed, burdened by their own secret thoughts. In the blink of an eye, the next day arrived. Fang Ruoruo didn't hesitate for long, and went to find Ji Boxiao. Ji Boxiao already knew this task would likely fall onto his shoulders, because currently he was the team's intern assistant, the lowest position, otherwise known as the errand boy. His main duties were gathering documents, assisting the seniors with experiments, and organizing lab equipment. These kinds of chores, only that fool would do them so willingly. He didn't come here to be their nanny. He wanted to be in this elite team to boost his resume, but he couldn't just refuse outright.
Ji Boxiao nodded happily and accepted.
Sure, senior. Just leave it to me.
Make sure to compile it very carefully. Fang Ruoruo didn't expect Ji Boxiao to agree so quickly. Feeling overjoyed, she said, I'll treat you to some milk tea soon. Once Fang Ruoruo left, Ji Boxiao curled his lip in a sneer. You pauper who wants your cheap milk tea. He had no intention of compiling those materials himself. He immediately went to find Liu Xiaoyun. He heard Cheng Chuan had compiled exam materials for Liu Xiaoyun before. All he had to do was sweet-talk Liu Xiaoyun a bit, and he'd definitely get his hands on them. A week after Elder Tian's funeral, Senior He Chiang and Senior Mu Wanqing returned to school. I had been cooped up in the dorm studying all week. After 7 days, I had accumulated quite a few questions. I was just waiting for Senior He Chiang and the others to return to ask them. But before I could even go looking for them, He Chiang and Mu Wanqing were already waiting downstairs at my dorm. Senior. I happily ran toward He Chiang, then looked at Mu Wanqing standing beside him. Nuna? You're both back. He Chiang reached out and gave my forehead a playful flick. So happy are we. Did you miss us?
I did.
Though a bit embarrassed, I decided to be honest. I decided to speak the truth. He Chiang laughed heartily. At least you have a conscience. Let's go. Let's go. We got the school to grant us.
A laboratory.
Let me take you to see it.
The lab building was located behind the lecture hall area. Only senior professors were eligible to lead a team to apply for a lab space. Professor Tang's laboratory was on the top floor of this building, but ours was on the first floor. It's the first one you see upon entering. Wanqing chose this spot, she said. Being closest to the entrance saves time. He Qiang was afraid I'd find it inferior to Professor Tang's lab, so he added an explanation. Senior is still the most thoughtful. I didn't think too much of it. The first floor is great. It saves a few minutes on the way to the cafeteria.
Ha ha.
He Qiang burst out laughing.
Why is your head always filled with food?
I gave an embarrassed smile. It's because I'm so thin. I want to eat more delicious food. If I'm late, there's nothing good left at the cafeteria. Brother Qiang reached out and squeezed my waist. You really are thin. Just follow me from now on.
It'll take you to eat all the delicacies in the world.
I guarantee you'll be plump again in less than 2 months. Just look at all this meat on me. Honestly, I can't even lose it if I tried. I suppressed a giggle. It's not that bad, senior. You're not that fat. At most, you're just well-rounded.
Just perfect.
Oh wow, this little mouth of yours is so silver-tongued. I'm going to be so happy from now on. I won't have to face Mu Wanqing's cold expression every day anymore. He Qiang shot Mu Wanqing a mock disdainful look and pulled me through the door. We're going to buy some equipment and set it up here. And this spot will be for the filing cabinet. This will be the workspace. He Qiang explained while pointing everything out. What do you think? Does it look okay? What kind of chair do you like? I'll have them buy one based on your preference. Is that really allowed? I looked at him in surprise. I thought the school had uniform regulations for all this, and we couldn't just follow our personal tastes. After all, back when I was with Professor Tang, I once followed my own preference and bought a colorful desk folder, only to be scolded severely by Professor Tang. He said I had no sense of protocol, and that I was ruining the office's harmony and uniformity. Garish and flashy, he called it. He said I didn't look like a scholar at all. It was just a folder. How could it ruin the uniformity? Why wasn't it scholarly? Even now, I still can't understand it. He Qiang nodded as he walked.
Why wouldn't it be allowed?
We're going to be using this place for a long time. Of course we should decorate it the way we like. Otherwise, it'll just sour our moods. Mu Wanqing glanced around the room, then turned away to make a phone call. Call someone to come clean up. Let's get the desks, chairs, and shelves arranged first. The equipment will arrive this afternoon. As for the decorations you mentioned, you two handle that yourselves. He Qiang was scrolling through his phone, picking chairs and daily items. Come here and see which style you like. I swallowed hard and took my phone out of my pocket. How about I buy it myself? That works. Just remember to give me the invoice. I'll reimburse you for it. Huh. You can get reimbursed for this. Of course. This is our team's research budget. Professor Tian applied for it from the school. Since our team used to have so few people, we didn't have many expenses. We've actually saved up quite a bit of money. After saying that, He Qiang suddenly looked at me. When you were in Professor Tang's team, did you never get reimbursed for anything? It was actually quite ridiculous. Back when I was in Professor Tang's team, the seniors would order me to buy whatever they needed. Naturally, the money came out of my own pocket, but no one ever told me that these expenses could be reimbursed. I was just a kid from the countryside. There were so many things I didn't understand. I thought all team expenses were paid for by Professor Tang himself. That was why I respected Professor Tang so much, and always saved my own money to contribute to the team. Thinking back on it now, I realized just how incredibly foolish I was. I shook my head in embarrassment. I didn't know about reimbursements, so I never did it. Did none of those seniors tell you? Qiang's voice rose slightly. I don't believe for a second they didn't know you were paying out of pocket. In short, they just wanted to save the team budget, so they could pocket more of it themselves. Every one of them looks so dignified on the outside, but they're actually trash. Exactly like that old Professor Tang. Mu Wanqing looked over silently, then pointed to the adjacent room.
Just focus on doing
your own work. He Qiang stuck his tongue out.
What's there to fear?
It'd say it to his face. The man was never any good to begin with, and naturally those he trained couldn't be any better. Senior. I broke into a cold sweat. He Qiang turned and patted my shoulder. Of course, our Cheng Chuan is the best of them all. If you wear it, you wouldn't have left that place. Let's go eat first. Well, come back this afternoon. Mu Wanqing's gaze lingered on me for a moment. Then she turned and walked out. The three of us went to the cafeteria together. He Qiang waved his hand generously. Choose whatever you want to eat. My treat. Let me pay, senior. I'm not exactly short on cash right now. After all, I just got 110,000 back from Qin Yao without waiting for them to refuse. I stepped forward to pick the dishes. We had arrived early, so the cafeteria wasn't crowded yet. I went to the service counter and turned back to look at He Qiang and Mu Wanqing.
Seniors,
are there any foods you avoid? They both shook their heads. None at all.
Just order whatever you like.
We're not picky eaters.
Just pick what you enjoy.
After I took the tray to get the food, He Qiang pulled Mu Wanqing's hand aside. Why did you stop me just now? It's obvious Cheng Chuan isn't well off. How could we let him treat us? Just trust me. Mu Wanqing looked at me not far away. If he wants to treat us, let him. We can just treat him back later. He Qiang didn't quite understand Mu Wanqing's reasoning, but she was always profound and best at reading people's minds. Following her lead was surely the right move. The university cafeteria had a huge variety of dishes. I wasn't sure of He Qiang and Mu Wanqing's tastes, so I just ordered the best seller from each stall. As the cafeteria workers scooped the food onto plates, Wu Wanqing and He Qiang came over to help me carry them. The three of us found a spot by the window to sit. In total, there were 6 savory dishes and 1 soup. We ate while discussing our competition entry. Before long, the cafeteria started to get crowded. Students finishing classes were flocking in for lunch. Gu Baiyui's group walked in at that exact moment. With her were Shen Nianjia and Qin Yao, 3 of them in total. As soon as they entered, they saw us sitting by the window. It just so happened that Mu Wanqing had said something that made a faint smile play on my lips. Gu Baiyu's brow furrowed slightly. It seemed she had never seen this side of me before, so he actually knew how to smile like that.
Why had she never seen it before?
Qin Yao and Shen Yanjia also noticed me. That Cheng Chuan is really something. It hasn't been long and has already seduced Mu Wanqing. Senior, back then, the one Cheng Chuan cared about most was you. We all knew he liked you. Shen Nianjia put on an expression as if seeking justice for Gu Baiyue. It's such a waste that you protected him back then. Never thought he'd be this kind of person.
What kind of person is he?
Dong Zhuo suddenly blocked Shen Yanjia's path. Never mind that. Cheng Chuan never liked that Senior Gu, even if he did once like her. He's currently on a team with Senior Mu, sharing a meal, and talking is as normal as can be.
How come out of your mouth?
It becomes Cheng Chuan seducing Senior Mu. Shen Nianjia looked clearly indignant. He never used to laugh and talk like that with others. If that's not seduction, what is it? I think He's just a shameless person. Slap. Dong Zhuo swung his hand and gave Shen Nianjia a stinging slap. A dog's mouth truly can't grow ivory tusks.
What a waste of Cheng Chuan's efforts.
When he used to protect you all with all his heart. And this is how you treat him in return.
You beast. You dare hit me?
Shen Nianjia raised her hand to strike back, but Gu Baiyue grabbed her arm firmly. That's enough. Gu Baiyue's ice-cold gaze fell upon Dong Zhuo. So it's you?
What? Do you think acting like this will make me remember you?
You can stop dreaming then. I, Gu Baiyue, will never spare you a second glance. You're just a man with a hollow appearance. Let's go. Dong Zhuo was so angry his lips were trembling. I put my arm around Dong Zhuo's shoulder from behind. Don't get angry over people like this. It's not worth it. When Gu Baiyue saw me, the coldness in her eyes deepened even further. She didn't say a single word, simply turning to leave. Apologize. Mu Wanqing crossed her arms over her chest, blocking Gu Baiyue's path. Gu Baiyue always maintained a gentle smile before others, while Mu Wanqing was stern most of the time, like black and white. The faculty's 2 great beauties stood in the crowded cafeteria, facing off in a silent, tense confrontation. I suggest you don't meddle in other people's business. Gu Baiyue's eyebrows knitted together slightly. He can't help you succeed, and he certainly can't help you beat me. Mu Wanqing gave a cold laugh. I have never needed to rely on anyone. Only the weak think like that. Qin Yao took a step forward.
What? You want to stand up for him?
Looking for a fight. Everyone in school knows that Professor Tian and Professor Tang despise each other. His students and Professor Tian's students could never even stand the sight of each other, but they had always followed the rule of not interfering with one another. Because their specialties were different, they almost never appeared in the same place. Thus, over the years, things had remained relatively peaceful. This was the first time both sides faced off so intensely. The onlookers were all thinking to themselves, looking at this situation, a major fight is about to break out. I stepped forward to stand in front of Mu Wanqing and He Qiang, blocking their fiery glares. I looked Gu Baiyue directly in the eye with a cold gaze. Senior Gu, perhaps you've had a misunderstanding about me, since everyone is gathered here today. I'd like to explain something. In the past, when we were on the same team, I did indeed do many things for you, like getting you warm water,
Wiping your desk,
or organizing various documents. But all of that stemmed from my freshman year. As a senior welcoming new students, you helped me. And later on, you recommended me to take the selection exam for Professor Tang's team to repay that kindness. I always showed you the utmost respect after joining the team, but that respect and compliance were absolutely not because I liked you. I am a man of self-respect, and I would never love someone who isn't on the same level as me. My tone was incredibly cold, devoid of even a trace of emotion. It was obvious that Gu Baiyue never cared whether I liked her or not, but for some reason, when she faced me, with those eyes that held no warmth at all, her heart still tightened with a sharp pain. It even made her feel a sudden piercing ache. It was only a little at first, but as I continued to speak, that agonizing feeling suddenly spread to every corner of her body, leaving her momentarily unable to even stand steady.